to go.
Race fans, the 100% Cup Series welcomes you to Richmond, Virginia for the apexdesigns.edu 400. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be going short track racing tonight. I'm Andre Graham Bush, joined alongside producer Carlos Costa, pushing the buttons, bringing all the action to your TVs and computers. And of course, alongside me, Cody Bird and Corey Silva, the typical three-man booth we always have. And I think we're in for quite a show. Corey, I know you were here for D2 last night, and that was an event, wasn't it?
Yeah, so elephant in the room here, guys. We can't sugarcoat it. This is going to be a hopefully a good race, but cautions have been the name of the game here at Richmond in 2023. So expecting some calamity, but we'll see what these drivers do as points are on the screen after New Hampshire. John Delaney up with 3 wins and 20 playoff points. Hoytsma, Hoffman, Gitter, and Miller your top 5. And you can see the cut line there. Neil Pearson hanging on in 16th. Schofield and Paget closest to knocking him out.
And there is a fill-in for John Delaney tonight. I believe Alexander Van de Sant will be driving the 6, so that'll be interesting to see how the team points shake out. The Rookie of the Year standings going to be Patrick Gitter out front still. 94 back is going to be Clayton Hoffman. 122 back is going to be Andrew Dyson, who does have 2 wins on the season. Still, though, a little bit of separation there. Picture not likely to change too much tonight. And finally, should be team standings. Apex still leading the way, although with the removal of Cameron Stone, I know that Kevin has had to jump back into a car, and he's trying to salvage some points and hold on to that lead. Dirty South is sitting P2. Team Conti is 3rd, and LMM is going to be 4th, right in front of Elite Motorsports. And outside, you got Prodigy, BGR, Stint Analyzer, No Limit, SBR, Legacy, 4Wide, and Money House. That is going to be your team things. And of course, we do have Manufacturer Championship point standings this week. Chevy's still leading the way, but it's getting closer every week. 35 back for Ford, and not so close for Toyota, 160 back there. Cars are on track, running some hot laps. Qualifying, of course, already completed. But one of the things that I'd heard a lot of when it comes to this track, and I heard Jeffrey Souza mention it in the booth last night, the setup seems to be really difficult to build for this track. Something about the diffuser and the ride heights, trying to find that balance between getting the car planted and sealed to the track and not dragging the chassis either seems to be pretty difficult.
Yeah, with this car, it is difficult to figure out the setup around this place. I know back in the spring when I attempted to qualify into the race, you were tight on one end or loose on the other, and it just was not fun to drive and caused for a lot of loose situations and a lot of cautions. Believe that race there was 22 cautions, so hopefully we're in for a better showing here today.
Yeah, 22 cautions in the spring, and then in D2 last night, the Xfinity series of the league, if you will. It's 15, I believe, no, 17, I think it was, in 260 laps with 10 of overtime. So we're going into this race with a little bit of a fear of what could come, and I do know that you heard, Cody, that in-race admin are not going to be shy to pull the trigger on some changes if indeed this race heads down a bad direction.
Yeah, no, definitely heard some choice words from some of the drivers, definitely who were not necessarily excited for this race. But, of course, once they get into that cockpit of the car and start driving, it's a lot of fun. So hopefully we see some good hard racing here side by side, and we get to the checkered in one piece.
Yeah, somebody's going to get to the checkered in one piece. I can't say everybody will, as we do see a car sliding through the tri-oval, which, listening to Jeffrey in D2 last night, he kept calling it the curved straightaway. It's just a tri-oval. I couldn't quite get over that. But
it's not a tri-oval, it is a D-shaped oval. There is no triangular geometry to such straightaway, Mr. Andre.
Yeah, but a D is technically
a tri-oval is like a Daytona or a Talladega. It has straight, curve, straight. This is just a D, like a Michigan or a
Montana. Come on. The curve at Daytona is not that angular.
But there's chutes. There's no chutes here.
Yeah, but I mean, you could
chat, is this a tri-oval or a D-shaped oval?
You could use Richmond as the letter D in a font, and it would not look out of
draw
place.
Daytona really quick, and then leave that D on the screen, and then we'll get to the grid here.
I guess that's where Adam Benefield's D went.
All right, that's a terrible Daytona. So we'll fight about
Looks like
that later.
Daytona
But
to me.
that is not. That's Fontana. But either way, these guys are headed down trackside, and we are on the grid. Mixed our geometric arguing here. Let's go ahead and give you a starting lineup. I don't know if we have a graphic for it or if we're
We do.
having. All right, it is loading here as we speak.
Sorry, I was just.
And there
I
it
was
is.
mad at you.
Yeah, he was mad at me. Pat Gitter is going to be on the front row with Alex Van de Sant there in that John Delaney machine in second. Andrew Dyson in third. Adam Benefield, he had an interesting turn of events last night. Almost won, they'll be fourth here today. Hoffman fifth, Anderson in sixth. Alex Murray in seventh, and top 10 will be Giglio Diciani. And Richard Reagan, kind of a rare appearance, but another fast driver.
He's filling in for Matt Long in that 97 machine. Mark Padgett's going to be rolling off P11. He'll be right next to Robert Miller in that 15 machine. P13 is going to go firmly in the hands of, drumroll please, if it ever scrolls, maybe one of these days.
Oh, sorry, that's on me.
There we go. P13 goes to the number 24 machine, and it looks like Jamie Knopf is going to be 14th. 15th goes to Jim Schofield, and Neil Pearson is going to be in 16th. 17th, Derek Heitman. 18, Jedi. Nobody calls him that. Jason Taylor. Brandon Pierce going to be P19, and rounding out your top 20, Ralph Hutchison.
Sorry, 21st will be Trevor Ryan. 22nd is the birthday boy, Raymond Root. 23rd is Rob Tracy. 24th is Wayne Grassy. 25th is Randy Drumhiller. 26th, Lucas Hoitzma. 27th, Tanner Marty. 28th, Kevin Steele. 29th, Mike Christopher. And 30th, Dustin Hall.
And that's it. That is our starting lineup here today. Our race details here. I would love to provide them, but I don't have the graphic in front of me right now. It's our stages tonight, guys.
72:30.
So it looks like it's going to be lap 70 and lap 230. So that's actually a pretty big variation in distances between stage one and stage two. That could lend to some strategy if we can get through them cleanly, but we'll have to wait and see as that happens. As the lights are off on the pace car already, so very short pacing sequence, or maybe it just took us a while to get through the grid. Either way, the 2005 Mustang is going to drive down into pit road, and Patrick Gitter, current Rookie of the Year leader, is going to take the green flag with an instant jump to the solo lead. The number 6 going to have to battle with Dyson for second, and then back there, Adam Benefield. That's going to be a car to keep your eye on all night long. This is a track he's pretty good at. The qualifying effort shows that, because Adam, he finishes well, but he doesn't usually qualify well unless he's got a pretty good car underneath him. So that'll be fun to see, but single file 1 and 2, you got Murray, Anderson, Giglio, Diciani, and Reagan rounding out the rest of the top 10 back there. And I'm a little surprised how quickly these guys are getting it sorted down single file, guys. I think maybe D2 put the fear into them.
Yeah, D2 and maybe some admin choice words here. I've told the drivers they're not putting up with another bleep show there, but to point out Adam Benefield in the 4th spot now is he nearly had D2 won last night, and a very interesting maneuver on the 3rd green-white checker by Neil Pearson kind of took him out there. So I don't know if there's going to be any ill will between those two drivers, but they're currently separated by a significant margin now, as Benefield did drop back a few spots here on screen. You can see the top 5 all single filed out, but they are still in double file formation, nearly some 3 wide. They're back of the top 10.
Yeah, we're already starting to see that, like you mentioned, the field gets single file and the fear kind of being struck into them. But in this little battle here between Bobby Anderson, Richard Reagan, and I believe that is Matt Diciani and Mark Padgett, they're beating and banging a little, just trying to get into line with one another. And this track, it can be hard to pass, Andre.
Oh, it can be really difficult to pass. These corners are very deceiving. I know it looks kind of banked on the camera, but the banking doesn't seem to stop the car from drifting up the track, especially on a corner exit. It is a tough track to drive, and when you're pinned down to one lane, it's not very easy to get the exit that you want to get. So Bobby Anderson not in an enviable position. You can see he gets a little loose out of the corner there. And that's what's going to happen. If you don't let the car drift up, you're going to get loose every single time, and that may cost him another position, because here comes SOB on the high side.
Yeah, so B had a good starting spot last night. And speaking of envial positions, I just had announced that I'm in a tornado warning right now. So if I die, that's why you know that is happening. But you can see there that the 12 position is Bobby Anderson. And Neil Pearson back there. Again, last night he was in third. And if you missed the clip, go back and check it out on PTR TV. Very exciting to say it generically finished to that D2 race here. But I do expect him to have a better run move up through the field. Him and Andrew Dyson, both very fast drivers. And this is a track that suits them, being the road course Aussie, a track that there is shifting, there's patience on the throttle, there's kind of rolling it on in, a lot of driver specific tactics here with those road guys to succeed at.
Yeah, and that's another thing that we're starting to see more of. These road course guys that are really good just making rights and lefts, they're able to dominate these short tracks some more. We see it more and more happening, and it's not a surprise that we're already starting to see that here today.
Yeah, we're almost 10 laps in already. Richmond being a very short track, the laps tend to wind by pretty quickly, but a battle starting to fade right there as Matt DeCiani is going to give up a position, drop back one, and oh, now he's not quite done battling. Here comes the 15 down to the low side. Robert Miller trying to pick up another position. Now, LMM was pretty confident with their setup. Robert said, and I quote, "We've got a piece today." So we'll see what he can do with that car. Seems to be, he's on a bit of a bad luck streak recently. He runs well at the start, and then things start to fall apart. He's kind of in that Adam Benefield boat. Maybe they got the paddle boat together, and they're just kind of in the struggle pond. But, you know, who knows? Maybe tonight's the turning point.
The struggle pond. I like that one here. Just going back and just giving you a little summary up front. Gitter is up by about 0.4 of a second. I'm looking at the stopwatch here, and top three basically running identical times in the form of Gitter, Van de Sant, and Dyson, all in the 8s. But some other cars that are of good speed. You have Reagan there in the 8s as well. So a lot of these guys running fast times, but that goes back to some of the issues that we have, guys, is when you have tracks that are, let's be honest, they are single file oriented tracks, and you have guys running equal pace. I mean, that's where the issues come with trying to make passes and keeping these things clean.
Yeah, and what's even more impressive with Patrick Gitter right now leading this race, he's a brand new dad. I don't know if you guys discussed that last week. Congrats to him. But having a newborn, I'm sure it kind of probably fit into his practice time, but he's looking like he practiced all week.
Yeah, I would imagine you don't have quite as much time to sit in the sim rig when you got a newborn to take care of. I know Cameron Stone, the recently suspended Cameron Stone, when he had a kid, he pretty much could never find his way into the sim rig. And so for Patrick to be up here leading the way and still having a lot of pace, that's pretty impressive. And I don't know, Patrick's just been impressive all year long. It seems like no matter what kind of track we go to, no matter what kind of setup he's got, he always finds a pretty solid finishing position somehow or another. That's why he's leading the Rookie of the Year standings. And I know a lot of people look at Rookie of the Year and they don't really give it too much thought, but it's kind of a stacked field. I mean, look at the names up front. Look how many of these drivers are rookie contenders. You've got Dyson, he's a contender, and he's been up here fighting for wins every single week, and Patrick's still ahead of him in points. So that 21's been really solid this year.
You started off as a D2 driver, had success there, instantly got promoted up, and ever since he's been right in the the hunt with a Benefield, with a Delaney. There's a big wiggle there from, that must have been Van de Sant there, and that's off of turn number 4. That was the trouble spot last night, guys. I know this is something from real life I noticed, and I think it actually translates into the sim. Richmond is so polished off. There's no aggregate. There's nothing. It's no roughness. It's smooth as glass. So a lot of these drivers in the real world have actually been running middle of the front straightaway, not all the way up against the fence, because there's more grip down there. You really there's no grip anywhere on this track.
Yeah, and that's something else that is very surprising. You would think that you want to get out to the wall. We see that in real life, how quick they get out there, but in the sim, with the way the track is designed, that middle groove is the best lane. And as you can see, we got a battle here between Alex Murray and Adam Benefield. I wouldn't be surprised to see him make a move here, doing that move anytime soon.
Yeah, he's definitely kind of closed in here, and everybody running very similar pace. And back to what Corey said about it's tough to make passes when everybody's running the same pace and it's kind of a one-line track. Then you have to add on to the fact that, it's a video game. When these guys wreck the car, if they make a bold move, there's really not going to be any financial woes that come as a consequence of that. They're not going to have to spend any time sitting in a garage rebuilding a car. They don't have any real repercussions. So drivers tend to get a little rough at a track like Richmond. But then there goes Adam Benefield making a clean move on Andrew Dyson, going to pick up the bottom step of the podium, almost like it was nothing. That was a really impressive move.
Yes, it was. Is making some serious headway here as looks like Dyson's going to lose another one there to 22 Murray, who's in a different colored car this week. I think he was in a green car last week, so I'll have to acclimate to that. But guys, we got to go back to the elephant in the room. All of us were, this is going to be a rough one. I think the first caution last night was lap 1. We're 22 laps into this race. We're spreading out, which is what Richmond does eventually. If you can get to that point, it does spread out. We're seeing that. And what's our first stage? Lap 70? I'm not going to get crazy, but this is showing that this race is going against all odds.
You just had to jinx it, Corey.
No, I'm confident.
I want to point out, we're seeing some really severe internet issues out of Reagan in the 97. He's blinking in and out of existence.
I have knowledge to that. Richard Reagan only lives about a half hour away from me. And
so you're saying the tornado got him?
I'm watching my news now in actual imminent fear because my entire area is in a massive tornado warning. And we don't have tornadoes in New England. So, yeah, but he is actually in a really bad weather cell right now. So if he does, hopefully it gives him enough connectivity that he can stay in the server, but things definitely not favorable for both myself and Richard Reagan right now.
Yeah, that is a little concerning. Like you said, New England, not exactly a tornado hotspot. So hopefully everything goes all right with him, and hopefully everything goes all right with you. Not because I fear for your safety, just because we need every man in the booth we can get.
Yeah, I don't think me and Andre have spent enough time together, so I think we're at that point now where it may have been too much.
But also, to get back to that, I mean, from an administrative perspective, how long is league admin going to let, he's not like quick flashing, he's out for, 2-3 seconds at a time. How long are they going to let him carry on with this intermittent connection?
Well, it depends. I know that Damaris is usually the one that issues the warnings, but I don't believe Damaris is through this week. Kevin's kind of stepped up and offered to kind of be part administrator here once again. And so I don't know what Kevin's opinion on it would be. I know that Damaris is pretty firm on, hey, if you're blinking enough that the timing and scoring doesn't know what to do with you, you should probably get out of the way. But to that same token, where do you go? This isn't an intermediate. This isn't a 2-mile track. This is Richmond. You pull down to the low side and let drivers go, and well, then the leaders are just going to catch back up to you. I mean, you're never going to get out of the traffic. So I'd have to say it's almost at a point where you kind of just have to let him run and see what happens.
Yeah, and I know that nobody listening to the driver radios, nobody has said anything quite yet about his blinking. So as long as that continues where no talk is about it, he'll probably be okay. And it's still early enough in this race where nobody's really pushing any issues.
Yeah, I'm watching here. We don't have him on screen now, but his feed has been good for about the last minute. So hopefully that does continue. But Robert Miller just behind him, and Miller last week at New Hampshire, not the fastest car on track, which I would have expected. A skill track like that. He was so good at Nashville, nearly won, but Loudon not the best run for Miller here. And a track that, I'm not going to throw Loudon and Richmond into the same bowl here, but they are relatively close. Braking tracks, flat tracks do require patience and line sensitivity. So we'll see if that 15 can make that pass. But again, with the connectivity issues and just the difficulty to pass here overall, makes it difficult to do. But the 97 got a really loose situation off of 2 there, opens the door. Now they'll go side by side.
I think he might have had a little bit help getting loose. I think Miller might have put the bumper to him just enough. It was kind of difficult to tell from that angle, but they're going to stay side by side. Reagan did a good job staying strong on that outside, maintaining that momentum. A little bit further back, Paget not so lucky on the high side. Looks like he's going to drop back a position as he is, going to give that up to Giglio in the 16. So that drops him just outside the top 10. And then you got Pearson behind him. So a lot of fast cars up here and not really anywhere to take it. So it's going to be fun. And I think as we get closer to the end of the stage, we're going to see drivers making more moves. I think this single file is going to start to kind of form back up into some good battles because the tires are going to wear, cars are going to get a little bit more equal-footed. And the drivers know, hey, there's going to be stage points on the line. I'm no fuel expert, but I believe 70 laps on fuel is more than doable. So they don't got to worry about that. It's all about position, all about points, and I think that's going to kind of light a fire under them.
Yeah. Go ahead, Cody.
And going back to what you were saying about Mark Paget and Neil Pearson, there's a renewed sense of urgency for them with the removal of Cam. That opened up another playoff spot. And those two are very close to the cut line, so they're going to want to get stage points if they're able to.
I do want to make note, guys, that Adam Benefield did get up to P2, and we know the speed he does have. And also, going back to the fuel strategy and whatnot, tire fall off already at roughly 1 second of fall off here. But Richmond, being as short of a track as it is, there's not going to be a situation where we've seen at some tracks where guys can pit and then unlap themselves and gain all the time back. Obviously at Richmond, you're going to go 2 laps down here at caution, so on a pit stop. So you're going to have to basically stay out the entire time unless everybody chooses to pit. So we'll see if there's any comers and goers, but it really does seem like these guys are just wrapped up when it comes to times. Everybody going down the top 10 still within a tenth of a second, but obviously Gitter's got something going on because he's up by 1.5 seconds. Oh, Benefield having problems. I don't think he's a New England native, so I don't know what's going on with his connection. But also, actually, iRacing is in Boston, and I don't know if Boston is being affected by this tornado either. I will see that, but yeah.
I believe that iRacing does tend to use the East Coast, or not iRacing. I believe 100% tends to choose the East Coast servers. So that could very well be an issue.
I know there is an Amazon web server type deal, but I'm pretty sure it's out of Boston. But I think this is. I'm looking at the news, but I think everything should be fine. But if there is a blinking situation from multiple drivers, we can blame tornadoes.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I know that most of the East Coast and Midwest over the past week have been experiencing some pretty severe storms. So everybody in those locations, stay safe. And if you have a tornado warning, try to hide. Corey, unfortunately, you're stuck here with us.
Yes, well, I guess it's kind of a irony that they did have a lot of rain posts here on iRacing in the past week as rain takes over here in the real world. But let's see what happens on track now. We do have a battle. I think that is the 97 still. Indeed, that's SOB. Again, he started third last night. There's something in that setup that is good. Whether the driver can extract it, I guess, is the TBD of this right now. But he's going for that 13th spot with a chain of guys behind Hutchison. Heitman, what's he doing back there? I thought he would be faster today, but back in 16th is at 76.
Yeah, I would expect SOB to be pretty quick. I mean, when you look at the state of his lawn, he's just given up all attempts at lawn care. Just an absolutely terrible front yard. Backyard is a mess. Just not a real yardsman, I guess you could say. And so he's been spending a lot of time in sim. So hopefully his absolutely abysmal front yard out at CC's is worth it. But yeah, that 24 is pretty quick.
Yeah, is he a grub eater? Got grubs all over and dandelions. Well, we don't want no grubs. But here he goes, going back. He might not have grubs, but he's also driving like a scrub right now because now he's getting loose going up the track, and he's got a chain of cars behind him in the form of Hutchison, RJ Root, and even Brandon Pierce back there. So that 24 is in Alicia Keys mode. He keeps on falling, and he's going to get himself wrecked here. He tried to shut the door on Hutchison, and Hutchison said no.
Ralph came on the radio, said, "I did not mean to do that."
But he did it to himself.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think Ralph should be taking blame for that. I think that was kind of SOB just shut the front door to CC's. I don't know.
Yeah, he got himself. He had his pinky in the door as it slammed there. So I wonder how that one's feeling. But luckily he was able to hang on to it. How did he save that car?
He's just that daggone good.
Yes, he is.
But yeah, going back to this battle, Sean was battling with, I believe it was the 97 of Richard Reagan. It looked like he gave him a little tap and got dirty air on his nose, and that's what
Here's a
started
replay.
in freefall mode. And you'll see a replay coming up here for that incident.
Top of the screen.
And
Looks
yeah,
like SOB might have just locked it up a little bit there. I don't. That was a weird situation.
Yeah, turn 1 here at Richmond is not very easy on older tires. It is a very much a turn, as Jeffrey was saying last night. So you are turning and braking at the same time, which a lot of these stock cars do not like, has some linkage occurring still. So whatever that situation may be, hopefully it is not. But back to the front of the field, the gap now 2.5 seconds, and Murray has gotten back by Benefiel. So we'll see what gap has can change there on the stopwatch. Murray about half a tenth faster than Gitter, but 2.5 seconds, and the stage is in 20 laps. And again, guys, I'm still back to the point. I cannot believe this has gone green for 50 laps. So kudos to the drivers for taking heed and taking accountability for the. Do not correct my grammar off microphone. Getting my grammar corrected here by Carlos, I'm assuming on an off mic, but they are heeding the advice and the words of let's have a good show, and they are executing. So we owe them all an apology unless this completely goes sour in the next 350 laps.
Well, actually, you owe me a thank you, because I intentionally started this broadcast on a pessimistic note, knowing that generally what I say is the opposite of what happens. So I kind of knew what I was doing.
Reverse psychology at its finest. I mean, that's what I always do. Every time I buy a scratch ticket, I expect to lose, because that way when you win, you feel a lot better about it. So, and see Benefiel there still having some connectivity issues. Where is Adam Benefiel from? Does anybody know?
I believe he's from Georgia, because he goes to the Augusta golf course sometimes.
All right,
so
I don't know if Georgia is encountering any serious connectivity issues or something's going on in the background there, but he is hitting the wall. That's what's going on. So he will continue to drop back some time there. And when we get on screen, I think the leader is undergoing some lap traffic. The drum hammer. I can't say that without getting assertive. The drum hammer has just gone a lap down along with Rob Tracy in the 33. So the rest of the pack right now, Trevor Ryan 17 seconds back. We have a replay queuing up. I'm ignoring that. We do not have a replay queuing up, but about 6 seconds from the rest of the field going a lap down. So we'll see how many go a lap down before the end of the stage.
it sounds like there's some sort of issue going on with the 97 and his connectivity issues, but in the meantime, Gitter's still leading by about 3 seconds. Murray did get around Benefiel. I think Benefiel tried to move over with his blinking issues, and that's when he kind of got into the wall. He went a little bit too far with it, and that put the 22 up into second place. Alexander Van de Sant still sitting in fourth. He's actually closing in on Benefiel pretty quickly.
Oh, Benefiel peeling off. Benefiel in the pits.
Oh, no.
And obviously this is not going to be, nearly put himself in the sand barrels there. So this is obviously not a strategy move. Caution on the raceway.
Oh my goodness.
Out.
Dyson, Van de Sant.
Can cue Dyson and, yep, Dyson and Van de Sant. Dyson is backwards at the start-finish line right now.
Adam Benefiel came on the radio when that happened. He said, "Please tell me I didn't cause that." I don't think he did.
Nope.
Obviously.
The 6 kind of had a Dale moment here, as we will soon see on our 100% 3-wide replay.
Oh, into the out.
And
oh,
Dyson
no.
made a T-bone steak there. Well done.
Eric Jones.
Everybody behind him. Oh, look at Miller going to the high side there. Just barely able to squeak around him. Everybody able to avoid except for Dyson.
Perhaps we can get an onboard here with Dyson if the buttons will allow. See if he had any real opportunity to do something. I don't think he did. He was so committed to that line.
Yeah.
You can't, even if you back off there, you're probably going to spin out. You're not just going to be able to turn and point. As,
yeah, once the car's committed to that line, it's pretty much all she wrote. And everybody is coming down pit road except for Gitter, so that's definitely going to put him at a tire advantage, and that could definitely change the outcome of the stage.
We do have 7 sets on the wall for this race, guys, so that is 3 more than we had last night for an extra 150 laps. So maybe taking the risk here on 13 laps and having that extra set maybe later on could prove optimistic.
So I want to point out, Reagan and Benefield have both taken it behind the wall.
So Reagan, I understand, because he's still in a tornado warning. My tornado warning is effective until 9:30, but Benefield, no idea.
Well, he was having those blinking issues. I'm almost wondering if they were not told, hey, if this doesn't clear up in a certain time, you got to go. Because I can't imagine any other reason Benefield would have pulled off. I mean, the car looked good.
I do know there is some admin software that can actually calculate how many blinks a driver has blinked, and they can make calls on that. I don't think that is being executed here. Obviously, this league does not really do a lot of in-race admin. It's kind of just done by the sim, unless certain situations cause for manual intervention. But yeah, that must have just been a situation where enough was enough. It wasn't clearing up. They don't want it to be a endangerment to everybody else's race. We'll see if Adam Benefield wants to pop in.
I have a feeling he does not.
Yeah, he didn't want to pop in last night after he got wrecked on the white flag lap. So if he got told to leave, I have a strange assumption that he's not going to want to have a word. And he has instantly taken the radio off and probably threw it at the refrigerator.
So
how many blinks? Go ahead, Cody.
So when that whole incident was happening where Adam said he was pulling into the pits, I did hear somebody say, hope you feel better. So I don't know if I don't know if he was not like feeling the best, and with the blinking, somebody may have told him that he was, and he was just like, okay, I'm done, I'm not feeling well. But of course it's all speculation and we don't know.
Yeah, hopefully everything's going all right over there for Adam, but definitely strange. 2 cars with pretty big connection issues, and then behind the wall they go. 97 was not doing too bad, save for the issues with the internet. But this restart's going to be pretty interesting because Patrick Gitter, I mean, he's got a good car. Don't get me wrong. He's maybe got the best car we've seen tonight, but you can't defend. I mean, that's 60-lap old tires. It's going to be probably a 6-lap shootout, 7-lap shootout to the end. Actually, looks like the lights are off on the pace car, so it'll be about a 10-lap shootout to the end of the stage. You can't hold off a full field of fresh tires for 10 laps.
Guys.
I just don't see that happening.
Don't look at the YouTube comments.
Yeah, Adam Benefield just had a vomit situation all over his racing cockpit. So
oh boy,
definitely not feeling good, and hopefully it cleans up and there's no hardware faults there. So hopefully everything's good on all courts there for Mr. Benefield. Not a good 2 days in sim world or real world for him, but we'll wish him the best here, as we'll wish everybody the best here with this restart. Gitter gets on the loud pedal. 92 super loose there.
Wow.
We'll see if that works out well, but now Pat Gitter has to turn, and this is where his problems will come into effect.
Yeah, he's not able to hold the bottom. You can see he's about half a lane up. That opens the door for Murray. Here he comes.
He's going for the block.
Oh my goodness.
The outside is the 16 of Giglio, like 2 trailer park girls. He's going around the outside. And then now here comes Murray to try to block it. 16 getting loose up top, 3 wide into 1.
Oh my goodness. I cannot believe that they're able to hold this 3 wide. Here comes Giglio again on the outside. Look at Miller shooting down the bottom. The 21 just playing the roadblock. Meanwhile, Alex Murray's up there saying, yeah, we keep doing that, Patrick. I'm gonna drive away with it.
Oh, God, contact there. 3. Now there's still 3 by 3. They're splitting them right down the middle. If I'm the 21, I'm just dropping to the apron and taking the L here. But he's salvaging everything he can get and putting these guys in this position, and they are executing and doing a pretty fair job. He's back to the end of the top 10, and so far they've all gotten around him.
Look at Lucas and Brandon Pierce. Hoytsma and Pierce were both on the apron trying not to get into the 21. He is so far off base on these old tires. And again, Patrick was not in a good situation. He's the leader, right? He can't watch the field and say, well, I'm just going to do whatever they do, right? Whatever Patrick did, the entire field was going to do the opposite on that caution every single time. So really, it was a lose-lose situation for Patrick when that caution came out at the time that it did. and now he's just trying to do damage control, and luckily so far it stayed green, but a battle for the lead. Giglio has caught Alex Murray. He's less than a tenth back. This could be a move.
Outside is the 16, trying some different lines out, trying to see if some momentum builds up, and instead he got really loose. There's a lot of guys getting loose off the corners here, surprising on new tires here. But he's going to see if he can get the power down off of 4. Another wiggle that gives Alex Murray a little bit more breathing room as we have multicam on screen.
Yeah, I think Patrick Gitter's regretting that decision for old tires against all new tires. But at the same point, we don't know how this race is going to play out, and that could come in handy later. But Blake Giglio is looking feisty here, looking to get back to the lead and get back to winning the stage.
It makes you wonder are these guys gonna pit again and burn 2 sets on the stage, or are they battling this hard and are they gonna reuse these tires on the stage? That's kind of the $1,000,000 question. As you can see, the wiggle's there, so I'm almost thinking they're expecting this to be a throwaway set, because if you're gonna push this hard, I don't think you're gonna stay out and try to reuse this set, but they're clearly going for this playoff point.
Yeah, he is absolutely sending it into the corners, and he's trying repeatedly to use the outside lane. Just not quite enough speed up there right now, and I'm not sure there ever will be in this race. I don't think there's enough rubber in the world to make it entirely viable to make an outside pass on an equally paced car. But as we come to the stripe, it's going to be 2 to go in this stage. Giglio's maybe got the faster car, but it all comes down to, are you really willing to move a guy for a stage point? I don't think Giglio's going to be eligible for the playoffs with all the races that he's missed this year, so there's really not much in it for him to win this stage. It would really just be bragging rights, and I think that may be good for Alex Murray, because that might mean that maybe Blake takes it easy, doesn't do anything too crazy, and tries to make the move clean.
Yeah, I know. I was talking to Kevin before the race. He said that he needed 2 more races, did Blake, and he needed 60 points. So if he can get 10 points right here, that's going to help.
Well, let's see. This is the white flag for the stage. He's going to try to go to the outside, and he's just going to slip a little bit too high up the track to make anything happen. So Murray's going to get the stage. P2 will go to Giglio. We'll wait to see who's going to get 10th. Looks like it's going to be Hutcherson.
Yes, so Hutcherson getting a stage point along with Ruth, Heitman, Paget, Hoffman, Anderson, DiCiani, Robert Miller, Blake Giglio, and of course stage winner Alex Murray. That is pretty impressive that he was able to hold off Giglio. Obviously, Giglio was pretty quick back there, but, you know, that's one thing that Murray's pretty good at. He doesn't really do a whole lot of mirror driving. He doesn't psych himself out when there's competition from behind. He tends to keep pretty level head, and I think that's that kind of helped him get his stage there and what helps him every week. So, fun stage to watch, and only 1 caution for cause in 70 laps. What an unexpected turn of events there.
Yeah, definitely. It caught me off guard by far here. And by the way, Gitter dropped to the 21st position, so he didn't drop all the way to last. He managed to stay out past a few guys. As let's see what happens. Are they going to reuse the set? Yes, they are. Much to my surprise, they pushed that hard, and they are all going to stay on track and reuse that same set of Goodyears.
That's pretty crazy. Now this is gonna be fun, because Patrick Gitter, he's coming down pit road. He's going to have 70 lap fresher tires than anybody, just about. Well, not 70 laps, but he'll have, 20 laps, give or take. And he'll definitely have an advantage. When they were 20 laps into a stint before, you said they'd already lost almost a second. So that 21 is going to be flying through the field, and that's going to be something to watch. But it looks like our stage winner will not be pitting, so I'm going to try to find him. And I'll tell you what, Corey, I'll let you have a word with our stage winner. If I can locate that 22. There he is. One moment.
All right, Alex, Corey, and the boys up in the booth. You got us?
I got you.
All right, so first off, a very clean start to the race. I think all of us caught off guard by that, but happy to see it. And everything has worked out and has you up front, but you have some older Goodyears now, had to reuse that set for the other stage. How you feeling right now, man?
Car's pretty good. See what it does as the track cools off here, but pretty confident in what Ryko built us this week, and pretty confident that we have a top 5 car. With that being said, can't do it without Ryko, but yeah, I think the race is going to plan so far. We'll see what happens later in the race, though.
What was the mentality on that first caution when you guys saw Gitter be the only one to peel off? Was there any thought to follow him down there, or did you already kind of have a plan of when to use the tires?
Really didn't want to see that caution, honestly. I was content with P2 in the stage, and then saw he didn't pit, so figured why not take the fresh tires and put 10 laps on them. I mean, 10 laps isn't going to really hurt him too bad, so just took the tires and ended up winning the stage.
Yeah, you did indeed that. And one more question. This track has been super slick, super rough. Everybody's having trouble putting the power down here. How's that car been on corner exit? Are you having some confidence on throttle?
I mean, you gotta be careful. Otherwise, I mean, the car itself isn't bad. We're a little snug, just for the longer run, but definitely still have to be careful on corner exit. You know how Richmond is. Just gotta walk on eggshells around this track and keep the tires on it.
Yeah, this ain't pavement, it's a sheet of glass, man, but you're doing pretty good with it, and we'll see how it fares for the next 325.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Alex Murray out of the booth as the lights go off on the pace car. So he was content with second. You heard it from him right there, and I think that was probably a lot of drivers' mindset. Wherever they ran, as long as they could get to the end of that stage clean, they were probably content with where they were. But sometimes, fortune smiles upon you. And for Patrick Gitter, that was just, like I said, whatever he did, the whole field's doing the opposite. If he stays out, everybody else is pitting. If he pit, everybody else is staying out. So, it's tough to be the leader in situations like that.
Absolutely. And coming back to green here, we'll see Alex Murray with Blake Giglio on the outside. Green flag has dropped, and we go back into turn 1 here on lap 77.
Yeah, good jump there, and you can see Giglio. He's the one that's really been testing the waters in that second group, kind of akin to a Dale Jr. or Mikey Waltrip. Someone's got to get the rubber down there. Looks like it's going to be Giglio. See if he can clear Miller for that second spot. Drop to the bottom. Yes, he will. He'll get right to the back bumper of Miller. Murray.
No.
Use the bumper there, but he will give him the opportunity to get back in line.
Yeah, we've seen that a couple times. If you put the bumper to somebody on corner exit, sometimes it kind of has a way of kind of slingshotting you backwards off their bumper. You lose ground because you have to lift. It kind of shifts the weight of the car and makes the rear end of your car loose when you put the bumper to somebody. So you've got to lift, lose time. Here comes Giglio with another attempt. He looks low. There's nothing there. He falls back in line. Meanwhile, Robert Miller just kind of watching this battle transpire from back in third, hoping that maybe his teammate can make something come of it. But behind him, look at some of these names: DeCiani, Anderson. We know these guys are pretty good at the short tracks, and now they're finally creeping up the running order, getting a little bit closer to the front. We got a lot of strong contenders up here. Hoffman as well in that 92. Mark Paget, Derek Heitman, Ralph Hutchison. These are all really good drivers, and it's really shaping up here.
I just got to make a comment very quickly on Blake Giglio's paint scheme, because it had me thinking that something was broken, because I'm looking on our feed and I see a purple car, and then I'm looking on my screen and I see a blue car. It's different colors on each side, which makes me very confused, but it does look nice.
NASCAR room.
And that's legal now.
Is it?
Yes, that is legal now. They finally are allowing for non-symmetrical paint schemes within reason. Like, I don't think you could ever do the split sponsor cars of the early 2000s again, but they can be a little bit different on each side. They finally removed that rule.
Yeah, I remember, I believe it was Terry Labonte.
Yep.
As we can see, Blake Giglio going back to that high side, but he ran, it was like Kellogg's throwback, and it was another one of his paint schemes at Pocono, and NASCAR told him, no, you can't do that. So, I'm happy to see it, because it does give for some pretty cool sponsors.
I think it was maybe Scott Wimmer or one of the drivers that drove the number 10 as well. There was a split sponsor number 10. It was, what was it? I'm trying to think of what the two sponsors were, but I know that it was split down the middle and kind of had a lightning design down the center. It was, a couple drivers did that back in the day, and then when the Car of Tomorrow era came along, they said, nope, paint scheme's got to be symmetrical, and it was that way until, I think, just a year ago.
Now, meanwhile, guys, I do want to go back to our stage pitter, I guess, if you want to use that word, Pat Gitter. He's up to the 15th position. Actually, Dustin Hall in the 14th spot in the 1 car. He is on the same set of tires as Gitter. He's actually running ahead, so actually Dustin Hall getting through the traffic a slight bit better than the 21. And quite the gaggle they are in, as we see on screen right here. You can see Brandon Pierce just in front, Schofield in the mix, and Gitter trying to follow Hall through this battle.
Yeah, this battle is shaping up to be something that is looking kind of like what we saw at the end of the stage, where some of these guys who we may not see towards the top 10 now are back up there and on the
Battle
top
for the lead, guys.
Oh, a little bit
almost.
loose.
Oh, hang
In the
on to
wall.
it. He didn't hang on to it, or whatever the line you said last week, Andre, or a couple weeks ago, whenever it was.
Yeah, he did not hang on to her there. He got a little bit loose, and now hopefully he doesn't have any damage on that right side, but we'll have to wait and see if that impacts his pace. Going back to the 2 drivers on the alternate strategy there, between Dustin Hall and the other driver there, Patrick Gitter, I kind of like the position Patrick's in. He can let Dustin open up all those doors, let him muscle those guys out of the way, and then when he slips by, you just follow him through. It makes life way easier.
And worth noting, Dustin Hall, he pitted on the caution before the stage. He also pitted on the stage, so he burnt an extra set with that 1 car.
trying to get the track position right now while it's still early.
Guys,
in this race.
I'd like to point something out. I'm sorry to cut you off. He was on his stall for 6 seconds, so probably just fuel only.
Interesting. That's pretty interesting. He's got that pace then. I mean, because Patrick Gitter did get around him, but he's still showing pretty good pace compared to everybody else.
Dustin Hall having a good run. I'm trying to remember what happened to him last night. I think he was involved in calamity last night, but then again, who wasn't? As the 21 going to the inside of SOB for the 12th spot, cracking on the door for a top 10. And guys, remember, we talked about the awkward stages here tonight. We're going to be going, what is it, 160 now? So we're going all the way to lap 230. So there will be, at some point, whether green or yellow, a pit stop within this stage.
Yeah, and they're going to have to definitely start thinking about that sooner rather than later, just because...
Oh, wall, hi.
Oh my. Getting a little bit familiar with the wall there. That was Mark Padgett on the outside of Dyson and Brandon Pierce, trying to get around there. But also, I should point out, I finally learned the backstory to Brandon Pierce's green/neon yellow cars. They are a reference to the Snowcat snowmobiles.
Huh.
Apparently that's why he went with that color all these years. Didn't know that, but I guess it makes a lot more sense now, as he is actually running pretty good tonight, just outside the top 10 as they run. And ahead of them, SOB also having a pretty good run in that 24, just trying to figure out where the strategy is going to put him. Dustin Hall, you can see him just out of frame there, a little bit further back. But Andrew Dyson, I want to ask you guys, how much damage do you think he got? Because that was pretty significant front-end impact, but the car looks okay, and it seems like his pace is all right. Maybe not as quick as he was at the start of the race, but I don't know. He's back on track. He's racing with this 38. Looks pretty good.
And not in hashtag tank mode, which we were in race number 1 here, which led to the cautions we had because guys were getting wrecked and they weren't wrecking. Now, this car is still rather rigid, so he had a pretty big T-bone hit, but so far it seems pretty fine. So good luck for him and staying with it. But Giglio, as you see on screen here, he had that little endeavor and he recovered from it. He's doing that high line. He's trying to get the crossover, but he can't get the power down on exit, which is usually what you want to do when you do that high entry. You want to get the car set, and then you want to get it pointed and drive down the hill and get the run off, but he just doesn't have the bite on exit to get the power down the way he wants to.
Yeah, and if I remember right with Blake Giglio last year here at Richmond in the fall race, I think if I'm remembering correctly, he dominated and kind of put everybody with LMM speed. So it wouldn't surprise me to happen here again today. Sorry about that.
Couldn't tell if you were in a hurricane, if you were in a tornado there, or if
Push to talk didn't want to work.
Yeah, it's a little bit finicky sometimes. But yeah, Blake's issue right now is that He's way faster on entry. You can see how much he closes in to Alex Murray going into the corner, but he doesn't have any exit speed. Like you said, Corey, he can't get the power down. There's a lot of wheel spin there, very little grip around this short track. And if you're going to pass somebody, you've got to be able to set them up coming out of the corner and pull alongside them so that you can force your hand going into the next corner. If you're trying to make the pass while you're just in the line when they are clear ahead of you, there's nowhere to take that run. You can't pass them unless you put the bumper to them. And currently, it's only lap 98. There's no reason to move anybody at this point. It would just be kind of, I would say, irresponsible to start making enemies this early because you know they're going to remember it at that point. So, you know, the exit speed is good.
Yeah, well, the one thing too, and I actually got corrected by iRacing staff on this. Now, when you run the high side, you do not, and I don't want to sound like I'm a pro because I'm not. These guys are all much higher rated and skilled than I am. But when you run the top, you don't want to gain time on corner entry. It's counterintuitive to do that. You want to actually lose time on entry so that way you can get on the throttle sooner and then get the momentum off. What he's doing, he's charging the entry on the top of the racetrack. And because he's charging it, it's sacrificing his entry. So there's really the gain he's getting by running that high entry. Maybe it is a handling thing rather than a you know, an alternate line thing, but it's definitely not working for him. That's me trying to sound technical.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. When you take the alternate lane and you take a high entry, you want this slow in, fast out, because like I said, you've got to set that move up. At a track like Richmond, you're not making a move in one corner alone. It is a multifaceted maneuver that you've got to pull off, and pulling up alongside them on the straightaway is a crucial part of that. The only way to do that is to have that exit speed, and that is where Blake is really lacking right now. And Murray's got it. Like, Murray is doing everything he needs to do. He's doing it right. He's slow in, he's fast out, and that's keeping him the lead. Now, they are getting into some traffic as we look to the rear bumper of Alexander Van de Sant, who, by the way, was running in fourth at one point. Now he's going a lap down in the wall. Not sure what happened with him, but man, he was fast earlier in the night, and now just completely off pace.
He was the caution.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. He was the caution.
Yeah, he's the one that got he's the one that made that T-bone steak with Andrew Dyson. Obviously, Dyson got off easy. The sixth did not. Because we're already during memory loss very early in tonight's race. I thought that was going to be later, Andre.
Oh no, my memory it's always fried.
Unless it's NASCAR Thunder 2003.
Yes, if it's NASCAR Thunder 2003, I can tell you anything about that game. But anything else, it's a crapshoot.
Put Brian Vickers as a rookie.
This is true.
Currently, things have pretty well strung out. Closest battle on track that I'm seeing from my back-end telemetry actually is the battle for the lead. Giglio, rather than trying the high line now, he's actually trying to pull the Harvick off and wrap the yellow line better than Murray, which gives him the benefit of actually using that paint, because I think here at Richmond, and you could probably correct me on this, Cody, I think, I know your skill level is not as high as it once used to be, if it ever was, but sometimes the paint is actually a thing you want to hit. In some tracks, it's a place you don't want to hit. I think Richmond's a track that if you hit the paint, it actually is a benefit.
Yeah, I think Cody stepped away for a minute there, but you're right. Some tracks you want to get on the paint, some tracks you absolutely don't. The issue with Richmond is that while the paint does give you a little bit of extra grip and it kind of does help you rotate the car, the line between where that paint is and where the banking suddenly becomes flat is millimeters. I mean, it's so close. And if you clip that flat apron with your left front of your car, you're either going to go and you're going to spin out, or you're going to shoot up to the high side of the track and you're taking somebody with you. So that's why a lot of these drivers maybe are a little bit hesitant to put two tires on it. Yeah,
so I kind of had a roast against Cody, and he wasn't even here to hear it. So that's a little disappointing, as he may be back. But yeah, similar to Nashville, I think we saw that whenever we saw it within the past month. It was the same effect there. It was a risk first reward of running low, because if you hit the bottom, you basically shoved up a lane. Sometimes it'll just insta-spin you out. Maybe that is a Technics NASCAR thing as well. But Giglio starting to fall back. We're roughly about a quarter second now. And, Cody's back, so maybe he heard my roast.
I did not hear your roast.
Okay, I didn't roast you.
Okay, well, I appreciate it. But I'll tell you what's roasting right now. It's some of these guys that started in the back of the field moving up through. So far, I'm seeing guys like Ralph, who started 20th, outscored just outside the top 10. Seeing guys like Dustin Hall up 13 positions. So these guys are moving up through the field, and it's looking pretty promising. And I don't know if you guys touched on it, and I apologize if you do. Patrick Gitter already back into the top 5.
Yeah, Patrick's been making up ground something fierce, and he's only 3 seconds back from our leader. That's what's really impressive to me, is he came back from all the way back in the 20s, and now he's inside the top 5, and he's only lost 3 seconds in the process of working his way through the field. So, if he has a really good pit stop, that could put him in contention for the lead for this stage. I mean, he's not out of it. That tire advantage helped him a lot, but the thing is now, the tire advantage is all but gone. He's been running long enough that things are probably starting to equalize. Whether or not he's got 20-lap fresher tires or not, it doesn't really matter. In the meantime, Kevin Steele has moved up to 14th. He's closing in on Brandon Pierce. He's gained a few positions over the last few laps, one of which was his teammate SOB, who is currently going the wrong way on the scoring pylon, probably regretting not brushing up on his lawn work skills rather than dedicating all that time to the sim. But up front, we'll get Andrew Dyson. He's a lap down. No, he's not. He's in 8th, and that is actually 4 positions. So that is a pretty good recovery for one of the drivers who was involved in that caution.
Yeah, I don't know if there was there's no fast repairs here as there is in D2. So the damage for iRacing clearly working in his favor here on the evening for Dyson, as he got that pass by Clayton Hoffman there. And I'm just kind of scrolling through the rest of the field here to see if we haven't touched on anybody. And a couple guys we haven't touched on recently. Well, Dustin Hall, he has dropped back from, he was staying right in line with Gitter, no longer the case, back to 17th. But we haven't touched on Jedi tonight. He's in 21st. Really a quiet, not too ideal run for the 21 car. And also Lucas Hoytsma back in 17th. He's been very quiet here on the evening.
Yeah, the interesting thing about Lucas not doing so well is that he's got the same setup as Giglio and Miller, who are currently running 2 and 3. So maybe just not meshing with the setup. That is sometimes the case. You could have a good setup, but if it doesn't suit your driving style, you're not going to be able to use it at its maximum. He's going to try to make a move on SOB, get around the 24 there, but we'll have to wait and see as the Casey's machine makes an overtake and a little bit further up. Look at that behind him. Wayne Grassy, Dustin Hall. These two have found each other a few times.
Grassy had a very up and down day. He had a top 5 car for maybe about 50 laps last night, and then it fell off the Richter scale, and it ended a very, very damaged evening. But so far, that Pennzoil ride in one piece.
Yeah, and something else to think about, and looking at how the track is kind of progressing, it does look a little bit darker. So I don't know if there has been some shade that has come in and covered the track, and it's affecting some of these guys we saw early on with some speed. Or I may just be losing it too.
No, I mean, it definitely could be affecting the track. We know on iRacing, the shadows maybe aren't as important as they used to be, but you can see the track temp right there. Relatively cool for a Richmond race. 102 degrees on the surface. I don't remember what it was when we started, but it does look like 3 and 4 has a little bit of shade.
Yeah, we started off at about 107. I do believe I checked it on my back end. I don't know if we did it earlier, but last night for D2, 119 was the peak track temp. That track was lava last night, but here I think we're starting off at the same time. Virtually, we are at just about 4 o'clock sim time, so we'll run probably till about 6 or 7 sim time. Not enough to turn the lights on, but that track temp will be cooling off. These guys will get more grip. Not a ton of grip, because it is still Richmond, but definitely these cars will be a little bit easier to handle.
Yeah, I mean, a 5-degree difference from where we started. It doesn't sound like much, but definitely feeling different for these guys. And yeah, something's going on with that 24. I mean, he is just bleeding positions left and right, and he's not able to stick that car to the bottom. It's just something's not right. I don't know if he maybe got into the wall and gave himself some damage. Maybe something mechanical got bent, or what's going on there, but he is just plummeting. And we saw so much speed in stage 1. He was a top 10 car in stage 1 for a while there, and now just not showing that momentum.
Yeah, right now it looks like a parachute is attached to the back of the car, how quick it's dropping. And he just doesn't have the speed that he had earlier on. And that could also be the heat cycle, too. A lot of these guys did stay out at the lap 70 caution. So these guys are about 50 laps on their tires already. So it could just be the heat cycle that's affecting his drive.
Well, actually, I am looking at my, I do have the same back-end data that Carlos has, so I could check it in it. These guys are 67, 68 laps into their stints. Now, I would use my very, very primitive knowledge and say that 90 to 100 here, as Dustin Hall just had a save of Herculean proportion on the back straightaway. We'll have to try to get a replay of that. But I think roughly 95 to 100 laps will be what these guys will probably be running. So I think green flag stops are not far off. And if you want to play the strategy game, try to do the undercut, that may be a thing.
I got a replay.
Yeah, this is definitely a track where the undercut could work as long as you don't get trapped multiple laps down by a
I
caution.
think we have a replay. This is the Ricky Rudd, how did he save this car, part 2.
He's just that daggone good. Top of your 3x TV multicam. A little bit squirrely down the straightaway. Looks like he was headed for the infield, but got the tires locked up, straightened it out, and by the time he got down into 3 and 4, he was good to go.
My first rumble of thunder has just struck my household, so if I have issues, that will be your answer to that. But Alex Murray up front by now half a second over Giglio, who has fallen back, whether that is the tires going because he pushed too hard or maybe just doesn't have the long run car, either or. And then Gitter up to 4th, 3 seconds behind. Can he pull this off on the stopwatch? He's actually evened out to basically the same times as Alex Murray. So I think he's had to use all the good getting himself through the field.
Yeah, and on screen you'll see Alex Van de Sant, whose day has just, it started off very well qualifying second and just has gone to worse. Currently in 27th with a lot of damage. But something else, I just can't get over how Andrew Dyson's recovered, Andre. That contact looked so severe, like it was going to be a day under, and now he's back up here in the top 5.
Yeah, generally when you take that hit square on the nose, the radiator is a pretty big concern for me, but it doesn't look like he's down any revs because he's up inside the top 5, running pretty well.
Well, hey, check this out. This is my brain working. Sometimes
Sun's
it does.
out.
So as the sun comes out, as Carlos has visually pointed, what if he's gotten a tiny bit of engine damage, taken some revs away, which in turn makes it easier for him to get on the throttle on corner exit, which made him actually faster than he was before?
I mean, it would not be the first time I've seen that happen. You know, sometimes you take a little bit of torque out of the car, especially at a track this slip slidey, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm not saying that's what happened to Dyson because he was
But
quick
it's plausible.
before, but yeah, I
Looks
mean,
good,
it
though.
definitely could happen.
Did he netcode through the damage?
Yeah, I mean, net coding through the damage is always a possibility, especially with, you got to think, a lot of drivers were having internet issues, so I would not be surprised if maybe the contact physics weren't exactly 100%
And
accurate.
remember, he is from down under, so he does have the ping of, let me check what his ping is, his latency number. 233, Neil Pearson 300. Most everybody else in the race is below 100. That is the connection speed to the server, which the faster it is, the more accurate the data transfer is. So when you have a higher number, there is going to be more issues and errors, which sometimes work in your favor.
Now, going back to the racing on track, looking at this battle for about 10th, RJ just took it from Matt DiCiani, but they're side by side back here.
Pit stops, Giglio.
So the 16, I'm not surprised that he
76,
necessarily
laps
came
in.
down a little bit earlier than our race leader, but he's going to get the 4 fresh good years, get some fuel, and then should be good to get to the end of the stage, but not by much. Again, going about 100 laps is, like you said, kind of where you want to be, and that's about how far it is to the end of the stage. So right side jack stand goes up. Now the focus is going to be on our race leaders. When do they come down pit road? Is that the 97? Did he get back out on track, or is that the other
97
South
is
car
out.
that has-
47.
Yeah, Ray.
That's the 47. Okay, so that would be Schofield.
Yeah, 97 has he is going to be dead last on the field. 86 laps out, with Benefield being
Caution.
80
Oh,
laps down.
no.
Trevor Ryan.
Miller.
Lanta Miller having some directional issues
Uh-oh.
there in turn number 4. I wonder if a pit stop went astray here.
I'm thinking that's exactly what happened. The question was,
Oh, yep.
was he trying
He,
to get to pits, or was he not?
When banking goes bad, chapter 1.
And this was always going to be a possibility. This is a tough pit road entry, so he gets down onto the banking. Doesn't get down onto the banking quick enough. He doesn't commit to the flat, and it's that separation. The right side on the banking, the left side on the flat. And then, to make matters worse, he beaches it. So he's got to take a tow. That is not an ideal
Yeah, he got it
situation.
going.
Oh, no, so he did get out. But also, he
That's
kind of just
responsible.
trapped his teammates several laps down. So not...
Giglio will be 1 lap down, so he'll get. Giglio will get the wave around, which at least is that savior. But now he's going to have to battle through the entire field, which it's not fun. And it's especially not fun if it's your teammate that put you in that spot. Was it that? Who said that the other day on Joe Gibbs? Where if somebody's leading, can we make it a rule that somebody doesn't spin out,
It was
cause a
Truex.
caution?
Or him or his team.
That was someone on JG. It was Truex. I think he was winning it loud, and then Christopher Bell spun out and caused that caution at the end. But everybody coming down into the pits, getting their 4 tires and Goodyear. I almost said Goodyear fuel. So there goes my brain.
I mean,
One day,
maybe one day.
when we run on rubber.
But it looks like Murray is going to win the race off pit road, and anybody who had not pitted is obviously going to take the opportunity there. So that will pretty much conclude the pit cycle for this stage. And timing and scoring is saying that Alex Murray is going to maintain the race lead. Patrick Gitter finally back up into second. Just one more car to go to try and get that lead back. Bobby Anderson's going to be restarting third. Andrew Dyson's going to be fourth. Derek Heitman, Hoffman, Paget, RJ Root, Blake Giglio getting that wave around if that's accurate. I'm not sure that timing and scoring is accurate. Then Hutchison, 10th. So the running order is starting to, kind of shape back up similar to what we saw at the start of the race.
Pat Gitter for the first time in a long time on the on equal footing to everybody else, but of course he does have that extra set of tires in the bank. So for the most part, what are we on? Tire set 3 for most guys, maybe 2 or 3. But for him, he's going to have that +1. So the more cautions we have, the worse, the better his situation becomes. But still have that situation, guys, where this race is against all odds. It's a very clean race here tonight, the apexdesigns.edu. And if anybody knows the meme and story behind that, because it is not an accredited website legally, you have to be an educational organization to use that website, so it does not actually exist. But there's a meme story behind everything when it comes to race titles, and I don't think any of us knows it. So if you know it, please let us know in chat.
It probably has to do with something with Kevin. Apex Designs is what he runs. So I think it's kind of a shout out that he's a teacher for a lot of times, and I think that's what that means. But Kevin as a teacher would be very scary. So
we had the Strawberry Hills 400 earlier, and we learned that the original name of Richmond Raceway was actually Strawberry Hills Speedway or something on those lines before it just became a generic Richmond Raceway. So always an interesting race title here at 100%, but the light's out on the pace car, so we'll get doubled up, stacked up, ready for the restart here with approximately 88 laps to go in the stage. So they will be able to go this distance to the end of the stage on this set of tires and fuel if necessary, and we'll see how it plays out.
And they're going to work their way down the back straightaway. Patrick Gitter on the outside, so our race leader opted for the low line. Not a surprise there. That seems to be where everybody wants to be. It's the best place defensively. It's the best place offensively. Really, that high line hasn't had much to offer anybody, but we'll see what Gitter can do up there. And we'll see what Dyson and Anderson can do as well. They've been fast tonight. Good jump from the 22. It's going to get him clear by about a car length, and now it's going to be a race for Patrick Gitter to just try to stay clear of Anderson and Dyson, make sure he can keep out ahead of those cars, and then try and reel this 22 in. So this is really the first time we're going to see the 21 and the 22 battle outright on equal footing all night long. And I think it's going to be a pretty good battle because their lap times, when they've been leading the races at various points in the race, have been pretty similar. So it's kind of hard to say either one of them has the upper hand.
Yeah, I think that those two are the two best cars in the field so far today. Obviously, we saw Patrick out early, and we've seen Alex Murray in this middle part. But somebody else, Bobby Anderson, up to third. Like you mentioned earlier, we always know he's good at short tracks, but he's coming to life here around lap 145.
He is in the mismanufactured Kellogg's number 5 car. Still will not put that thing on a Chevy and make us nostalgic. It's all happy. But Andrew Dyson, he's starting to test that outer lane as we do have some 3-wide racing there about in the teens right now. And they're going to go 3-wide into the turn there. Diciani going to be on the bottom with Hoffman on the top of the sandwich. RJ Root trying to throw his hat in the ring here, cracking himself into the top 10.
There's a ton of battling going on all throughout the field. Kevin Steele and Clayton Hoffman side by side, and then behind them we've got Brandon Pierce and Neil Pearson in the 62. Everybody just trying to scramble for position, not really getting single file further back in the field. Wayne Grassy also throwing his hat in the ring here, trying to make his presence known as a big spin. Kevin Steele down to the infield, and it doesn't look like we're going to a yellow yet. We may not.
Well, he is off of the racing circuit, which means that Barney does not care about him being down there, so he'll do his non-victory donuts here. Replay queuing up here for our viewing pleasure. Let's see what happened.
So Kevin was kind of on his own. I don't know. Yeah, just a little bit of a single car spin and heads up driving by Pearson there to give that little bit of a lift. There could have been contact if he had not been right with it there. So he was pretty quick to think and kind of keep his car off him. But unfortunately for Kevin Steele, that is a ton of time lost and no caution to save him.
Your leader, by
The
the way.
guy who painted the grass here is not going to be very happy because he got all that damage done to it. But Gitter did take the lead and get around Murray here as huge lightning flash here. So you'll probably lose me in a matter of moments here. But good change there, and Gitter will try to keep pulling away as he did before that first caution.
This is the pass for the lead.
Yep, and looking at this replay, you can see just looks like Patrick Gitter gets to the inside, or maybe not. Yep, he gets to the inside, and as soon as he does, Alex Murray just kind of lifts and lets him go and falls right back into second and lives to fight another day.
And that's exactly what we were talking about earlier. You see the Kevin Steele incident happening that same lap. But the reason that Patrick Gitter was able to make that move is he had the exit speed. He got on the loud pedal, got out of the corner really quick, and halfway down the straightaway, he was able to pull out a line, get up to the quarter panel, and prevent the leader from throwing a block. He forced him into a higher line, and that's what it's going to take. You have to be fast on exit here.
Yes, you do with these short tracks, these throttle maintenance tracks, which is your Martinsvilles, your Richmonds, your Loudons, maybe a little bit of Phoenix too. These throttle maintenance tracks, these guys that know how to be patient, and that difference between 70% throttle and 71 could be the difference between spinning out and getting that good bite off the corner here. As we talked about Lucas Hoytsma earlier, not having the best of runs. Well, tell a guy he's slow. What's he do? He gets some time made. He's working his way through the field now. He's now in the 7th spot, and even the top 5 is just in front of him. So just tell your guys that they're slow on trying to pick the pace up.
Yeah, we'll see what Lucas can do up inside the top 10. DeCiani, Hutchison behind him. It's going to be, I think, a bit of an interesting thing to see how the tires work, because some of these drivers, you can tell very early on, they're pushing. I mean, Patrick Gitter, he was driving hard to get around Murray, and Lucas and all these guys further back, they're not really taking it easy either. So if somebody in this field happens to be saving a little bit of tire and maybe taking care of their equipment, that could come into play, because I would not be surprised to see a long run to this stage.
Something else to look at too is Derek Heitman's back up into the top 5. We saw earlier him back towards 16th, and he is now up to 5. But looking back here, Alex Murray is fighting back for the lead.
Yeah, Murray not going down without a fight, only down by a 10th here last time on the stopwatch. Was faster by about a 10th. Now, is that Gitter maybe slipping the tires once or twice, or is Murray maybe learned something, maybe adjusted the brakes, found something maybe adjusted something for a longer pace car. A lot of things could be applicable here, but he's going to get right down. They're both going to try to hug that yellow line. Looks like Gitter maybe did a little bit better time that last lap, and they'll pull by a couple feet here as there is some slower car just in front. Entering turn number 1. They're both running that same exact line as we do have a replay queuing on screen.
It's like the number 6 Van de Sant is going to have an issue coming out of the corner, and this has been the trouble spot all night long. Coming out of turn 4, the car just wants to kick sideways on you, and unfortunately, when that car does kick sideways, you don't got a far ways to go before you find yourself in the grass. So very difficult to save, but he did a good job. He could have very easily looped that thing the rest of the way around once the grass took hold, but he kept it going. Now for the lead again. Look at this. I mentioned Patrick Gitter had to drive that thing really hard to take that lead away. Well, Alex Murray, a little bit more tire underneath him. He's going to take that lead back.
Back and forth between these two, and I don't think they're going to be done here, as I believe that is Kevin Steele closing in and Bobby Anderson closing in on the back of the field, whereas they are closing in on Kevin Steele. Sorry, what? Tongue twister.
Yeah, a lot of numbers and names there, but as the two battle up front, I think what you're trying to say is as the two battle up front, they bring more guys into the mix here. Bobby Anderson running some good speed last time by, and one guy to note, Derek Heitman, fastest car on track, and talked about him not running good to start the race, but he started 17th. He got himself up 12 spots on the day into the top 5, and he was a very fast driver last night. So not a surprise at all to see him up there. Then Mark Padgett just behind him. Mark Padgett, he was in second to start D2 yesterday, actually spun out from the second spot on a restart, never really got to recover from it. So he's trying to evade that same mistake and have a solid run, currently running in 6th.
Yeah, trying to keep the car clean, I think, is going to be the most important thing for a lot of these guys. And if you make a mistake early on, definitely want to take note of it and try not to repeat that, because whether we get to the end, the less chances you're going to have to make up for those mistakes. But there are a lot of drivers up front who, you know, they've had trouble, they've had issues, and they're still up here kind of bouncing back from it. And Patrick Gitter, he was further back in the field after the strategy call that kind of put him back there. Eric Heitman, we saw him back in 15th, 16th for a while. He's found some speed. And of course, Dyson involved in that accident for the first caution for cause. A lot of drivers just able to bounce back, and that's kind of something you don't usually see at a short track. I mean, at a short track, if you have an issue, it's tough to come back from that, but yet here we are, this race kind of defying, I think, a lot of the expectations we maybe had for it.
Yeah, it's very hard to come back, and not so much from the sense that the car is not the same. It's hard just to get your mentality in it, because when you get wrecked on a short track or you have something not go your way, kind of like Giglio and having to recover from that pit road caution sequence, you just get mad. And when you get mad, you drive mad. And when you drive mad on a short track, usually you end up getting yourself into more situations. So having a recovery like that definitely shows that you have some guys have the even head to put things aside, just look down and just drive the car to the best of their abilities.
Riding on board with Robert Anderson, he's currently sitting P3, trying to reel in Patrick Gitter, who again really kind of cooked his tires, I think, battling for the lead earlier, because he's now falling back to Murray. 0.6 of a second is going to be the difference. And then behind these guys and behind Dyson, this is a battle between Heitman and Padgett. These two have found each other. It looks like Padgett maybe just a little bit quicker lap after lap, but being faster is not the full story here. That's not exactly what it takes to make a pass. So have to keep an eye on that battle, see how that plays out. And you can see Lucas Weitzman behind him, still running 7th place. Hasn't really moved forward, hasn't moved back, just kind of comfortable where he's at. Piciani, Ralph Hutchison, RJ Ruth, these guys have been kind of lingering. Dustin Hall, you can see him just at the top of the frame in front of Brandon Pierce. These guys just outside the top 10. And, Dustin having a good run and making a bit of a comeback here would do wonders for Team Conti. Obviously, Team Conti kind of struggling tonight with the issues that Adam Benefield had, feeling a little bit under the weather. Again, hopefully he gets feeling better soon, but that's not helping the team point situation, and Dustin really kind of carrying the torch as well as Gitter. I forgot Patrick Gitter is part of TC now, so those two trying to carry the torch and doing a pretty good job of it.
Yeah, Patrick and Dustin have provided great points for the team points here throughout the season, and they're showing it here again today why TC needs to be considered for Team of the Year or Team Championship.
A lot of things to have. There's still a lot of racing to be had, and some difficult tracks coming up. So any points you can get here at Richmond definitely will come in handy, guys, because we just look at the schedule as I make a statement, and I don't even have the schedule in front of me. But I do know that there are some road courses coming up. I think Indy Road Course, Watkins Glen, and then, of course, Daytona coming up as the regular season comes to an end. So this is probably one of the only quote-unquote normal tracks to close this one out for the regular season. So getting some points now definitely going to be vital to close this out.
Yeah, some tough tracks coming up, and it kind of reminds me of the stretch we have very early on in the season where we go to a lot of tough tracks in a row. It seems like there's just 2 or 3 stretches in the season where you go to some kind of non-uniform tracks to take a specific skill set, and if you can bank anything before that stretch, well, that's just going to help you out in the long run. But I do know that a lot of these guys that are running well now, they're going to fare well at a track like Watkins Glen. I mean, we know Alex Murray's pretty competent at the road courses. We know that Andrew Dyson's good on the road courses, as is Heitman, as is Hoytsma. These are all good road course contenders, and here they are doing well at a short track too. And it's just because of this car. I mean, this car really does turn the short tracks into a pseudo road course.
Yeah, so Michigan will be next week, August 5th, and for this race. And then we have back-to-back road courses, which I cannot fathom ever seeing, to be honest with you, as Pierce gets by Hall there. Back-to-back road courses in the form of Indy and Watkins Glen, and then Daytona, which I will actually be at the end of August. So that is our upcoming schedule here. All these races will be live on the 100% Cup Series YouTube channel, so make sure you like and subscribe, all that fun stuff, if you have yet to do so. But currently about lap 174, still waiting for our stage 2, 60 laps in. But again, if you're just joining us, a race that everybody, including the drivers, the broadcasters, everyone thought this was going to be a royal mess based on Richmond's trajectory that has happened in the last 3 or 4 races here. This race has gone completely upside down in a positive way from everything we've expected. Really only 2 or 3 actual wrecks in this race. Phenomenal bit of driving by these guys, and this race is flying by, and we're seeing a lot of respect out there.
Yeah, that's another thing too. It's racy between the top 2. We've already seen Alex Murray and Patrick Gitter go back and forth a couple times. We've seen guys come and go from the top 10. These guys are finding ways to surprise us every week, and we are getting a very good surprise right now, and we're getting some great racing at the same time.
Typically when the skill level turns up, the racing usually is cleaner, which I don't know what that means for next week at Michigan. I think I actually covered Michigan on my channel last year, and I don't remember how it went because memories. But Michigan's typically a track that's going to be more drafty, more pack-oriented, so more guys feel like Superman, and you see a lot of things happen. But these tracks like Loudon, well, actually Loudon was a mess last week, but Richmond, I think the memo has been given to these guys, and it's definitely been applicable here. As you can see on screen, Lucas Hoytsma, who I thought he was going to close in on a top 5, but Hutchison managed to get by him there. So now he's back to the 8th spot. And I do want to point out that as we scroll a little bit further ahead, Dyson is right to that rear deck lid of the Kellogg's mobile of Bobby Anderson. He was kind of a car length or 2 back for quite some time, but now he is kind of stalking his prey there, trying to get that podium spot.
Trying to get a little bit closer to the podium as everybody kind of single file right now, just waiting to make their move, trying to find the right opportunity. We've got 60 to go in the stage, so it's going to be 61 to go in the stage. So it's going to be a little ways before we get there. No reason not to be patient, at least for the time being, but definitely want to be inside the top 10. I mean, there's drivers in this top 10 that, like Cody had mentioned earlier when we were talking about stage 1, they could definitely use the stage points. Some of these drivers they want to stack up everything they can. We're getting really close to the playoffs. So, be patient. Keep the car underneath you, but maybe not too patient.
Yeah, and with the stage points, even though that some of these guys are going to get more than what they need, it's still important to try to keep some of the competition out of the playoffs. That we will go to some interesting tracks during that time, and these guys are going to try everything to have that happen.
Yes, they will here indeed about lap number 180, and we do have a good battle for position on screen right now. RJ Root getting to the inside of Matt DeCiani, who, again, I thought that there was going to be a little bit faster opportunities in that 4 car. Those EPI guys, they were pretty fast last night, but obviously Gitter having the leader of the charge in that capacity, but DeCiani not seeming to fare overly well here. The Neil Pearson, we always talk about him having that near D2 win that was taken away from him by a rogue caution at the very end. He's back there in 11th, not having the same speed of his counterpart there, Andrew Dyson. He is still in the top 5 for that battle, still undergoing. And then Neil Pearson not knowing where to go. I mean, we've seen both lines work here, so if you're the guy behind, do you follow the top, do you follow the bottom? You will follow the bottom here as RJ Root finally clears.
And like I said earlier, making an overtake at this track is not a one and done deal. You got to set it up, you got to really stick with it, and that's exactly what he had to do to get inside the 9th position there. RJ had to really get alongside DeCiani and kind of force him to run a bad line, and that is what it's going to take. It's just a really difficult track. I really can't remember a time, and I know a lot of times we go to tracks and they're really one lane, and we like to blame the current gen car. We like to blame all kinds of things that have changed. But looking back, I don't ever remember a time that Richmond wasn't one lane. It's just always been rough.
Richmond used to be really good back in the day when they used to put that sealer down, which actually turned Loudon into being a really good track a few weeks ago, where they actually were using that old sealer, running essentially 5 lanes at Loudon, which just baffled basically everybody. But they used to seal coat this place, and it used to be exactly 2.5 lanes. That's about it. And it put on phenomenal racing. Now they stopped sealing it, and at least from a virtual standpoint, it's made it 1 lane. Kind of in the real world, it's almost too many lanes here, and it's taken the short track feel off. But from an iRacing perspective, we're undergoing some updates. We're waiting for our oval refresh, which will kind of give us a little bit more racing here, but for the time being, still that ring around the bottom. As I saw some smoke there in the turn 3 there. Not too sure what that's about, but all seems to be well.
Yeah, and also looking at it from a real life perspective, they are implementing a change to the front of these cars, as you see Alex Van de Stam back down pit road, that they're hoping that it's going to disperse the dirty airfield to them. I believe that test is Monday and Tuesday of this week, so hopefully that's some good news. And short track racing gets back to being...
The preliminary wind tunnel testing showed that the trailing car actually gained 100 pounds of downforce in relation to the front car. So the preliminary wind tunnel testing is actually quite favorable on that new splitter.
Yeah, which we all know short track racing does need a little of an update in real life.
More horsepower, less tire, same thing. But anyways, that's just too much brain power for some people to compute. But just going down the field here, guys. Let's try to find someone that we haven't talked about here, and let's go to 15th place if we can. Tanner Marty. Tanner Marty, Andre, we know from SSRL on Mondays, he wrecks. I don't want to say he wrecks, but he gets wrecked all the time. In D2, he was a magnet last night. So far, that 29, clean as a clean thing. And having a solid run there in the 15th spot for Tanner Marty. Good job for him so far.
Yeah, Tanner's having a pretty good night. He does tend to do pretty well at short tracks. For some reason, I think they just kind of suit his driving style. He knows what he's doing. His issue, I think, really is just he's always in a bad place. Obviously, if you're kind of further back, if you're like a back marker and you're off pace, you tend to have a pretty big gap to the cars ahead. And when something happens, you got plenty of time to prepare for it, plenty of time to react to whatever's happening. And then if you're in the lead, if you're somebody who's leading all the time, or you're up in the top 5, most of the issues are going to be behind you. Tanner's problem is that he's good enough to be in the fray, and that means that when something happens, he's always going to be nearby.
So he's Haley Deegan.
He's better than Haley Deegan. Don't put that evil on him.
I was going to say, she's not great, but she's not terrible, but she's just average, and because you're kind of average, you're just in the middle of the mess. Therefore, you're in the mess nearly every single week. So, but here he goes trying to get by Dustin Hall. And we'll make that pass, but you can see on screen, I think we have Neil Pearson on focus right now, who has heavy-duty traffic in front of him in the form of DeCiani there, and then Robert Miller, who is 1 lap down, which I'll throw my memory here because I don't remember what happened to him, but he's on the same tire strategy as everybody else, but he is 1 lap down for some unknown reason that hopefully one of my colleagues remembers.
He spun out on the apron.
Oh, yeah, that.
The last caution.
Cody having the memory to save us both tonight.
Yeah, don't count on me to save you too many times. That's a one and done deal.
Well, it's 2 and 1.
I feel like memory is the thing that Cody's got on both of us. I mean, he's an accountant. He's got to remember numbers and stuff. I don't ever have to remember anything. In fact, I spend every day of my life trying not to remember things. So that's just kind of, good on you, Cody.
Thank you. If I could do one thing right, I like to think I have a good memory.
Even if English is not always your best thing here. Although luckily Adam Benefiel is out of the race, so there's going to be no unnecessary D's thrown on the broadcast. So that is a benefit for everybody here. As we close in, guys, we're closing in on the halfway point in this race. What do you? I mean, I highly doubt you remember this. So let's just play a little game with each other. What do you guys think the caution count is right now? At halfway.
It was 1 for cause. No, sorry, 2 for cause. 2 for cause, 1 stage, that'd be 3 cautions.
Yeah, 3 cautions at halfway. What did we think the caution count was going to be at this point? At least double digits?
I was thinking at least 5 by now, probably. Because I still expect it to be back heavy. I think we're going to get some cautions in the final stage, but they're definitely doing a better job keeping it clean than I was predicting.
I gotta give credit where credit is due, and I have to swallow my pride when I'm wrong, and I was wrong. We were all wrong, and even if the second half of this race goes astray, it can't take away from what we've seen thus far. So, guys, you did good. Don't screw it up, but even if you did, you still did pretty decent.
You're gonna jinx us so bad, Corey.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, for all I know, I'll be dead by the end of this tornado
He's been trying
through.
every lap.
I do have heavy-duty lightning in my area, so I'm also worried about my monitor exploding in my face. So I'm just going to say all my things now before I inevitably die. So
Understand.
Yeah. I mean, I doubt the monitor would explode, but you never know. I've had lightning strike in my kitchen before, so that was fun. I fried several things around the house. That was. It was like
great value surge protector. So.
Yeah, I mean, so was I. It was like a guessing game. You'd go to turn something on and figure out if it was one of the things that got fried or not. And good times. But right here, you're looking at what I believe is Mark Paget in the 0-2. And he's got Kevin Steele behind him, but that is not for position. I don't believe is. Kevin is still laps down from his single car expedition down to the infield. Kevin's a painter. He likes to paint on iRacing and other various sims. Maybe Corey, he was just admiring the paint in the infield grass. Maybe he's thinking about getting into lawn care service.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, it's hard to admire much here visually at Richmond, as it is a kind of a Betty White syndrome. One of the older tracks in iRacing, they got a fresh coat of paint when this place was featured on TV in 2020. But we did get the notice, and from Steve Myers, that the NASCAR ovals are going to be prioritized at getting some modernization updates, as we did already see Darlington getting another facelift. So hopefully Richmond gets a little better, and that'll actually make the painters happy because they can take better screenshots.
Yeah, maybe they won't have to use pre-made renderings to get really good screenshots. You never know. But in the meantime, everybody's still single file. We're about 25 laps from the end of the stage. How about we go to our first Bring the Noise? And we are back from the Bring the Noise as our leader works his way through a little bit more traffic. Alex Murray getting around a few cars there. Patrick Gitter, he's about 1.9 seconds back, so pretty solid lead with only about 20 to go in the stage. Too bad for Alex Murray.
As we saw there, you can see Jason Taylor. Nobody calls him Jedi. Well, nobody calls him fast here tonight, as he just went a lap down there in the 21st spot, trying to hang on to the lucky dog spot, but 18 laps to the stage. I don't know if that will be a plausible statement for him. What was that, a little bit rough, Carlos?
That was a little rough.
Nobody is safe when Corey Silva is in the booth. I am equally offensive to all.
That is fair. That is a fair assessment. Here is the drum hammer, trying to get to the bottom of the 16. See what
the drum hammer
here. And not quite going to get there. Going to have to change course on corner exit. But showing quite a bit of speed out of that 44 right now. Driving it down into the corner. He's got Wayne Grassy behind him. I believe that is Dalton Mobley as well. Maybe not. I can't quite make out the number. I'm looking at a 240p stream here. But either way, some cars battling it out here. Still trying to every point they can, while our leader is, oh no!
Our leader is, oh no!
Wayne Grassy getting into the leader. That was almost a huge moment.
Oh, I completely missed that. I was looking at a different screen there, but yeah, they were dooring each other there, so luckily all crises were averted. But guys, I want to bring up another point.
Lost like so many spots. Wasn't he in the top 10?
Yes. Something's happened to Blake Giglio.
Yeah, that was actually the point I was about to bring up. Is he was the wave around because he pitted early. Caution came out, threw everything off. He had to get the wave around, and I expected him to, get himself back up at least to the top, maybe the 5th to 8th. But I'll do a little recon to see if anything happened or if he's just kind of been a potato.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Kind of disappointing to see.
And he's definitely, he's off pace if he's still losing position to the leader. I don't think it's just, I got loose and, lost time. It's something's going on with the car.
I'm scrolling back through all the way back to like lap 180 or so, and he's just been running 16th to 18th. He hasn't made any headway since the restart, really. He's been running roughly in that 15th to 18th bubble, so just getting around from that wave around just really stalled him out. So he really needs the stage, gets that fresh set of tires, and maybe have a little bit of luck to get him back through the field here. But I think worth noting, I don't know if we covered it, maybe we did, and I was off sleeping, but Derek Heitman has gotten second, and the gap 2 seconds to Alex Murray. I don't think Heitman's going to have a chance to get him, but although this heavy traffic can throw things off.
Yeah, this lap traffic is really heavy, and you have to wonder if dirty air is playing a factor for a lot of these guys now. It's a lot of these guys' cars are looking tighter and tighter as the run goes on, and I know a lot of people like them to build loose, and I'm just not seeing it.
Yeah, the cars are definitely fighting tight, other than out of turn 4. We do see quite a few drivers getting loose out of turn 4, but everywhere else it seems like they're just struggling to get it down to the bottom. There's a battle between Brandon Pierce and Matt DiCiani. Pierce is going to take it. Not much of a battle at all, in fact, as they dive down into turn 1. It's going to be 10 to go in the stage when the leader crosses the line this time, so getting down to it. And the drivers who are provisionally in position to get some stage points: Murray, Heitman, Gitter, Dyson, Anderson, Hutchison, Hoytsma, Paget, Hoffman, Pearson. These guys all going to get stage points should they finish where they run.
And Giglio just went a lap down, guys.
That is going to put him officially a lap down, and not helping his cause. Got to wonder what's going on with that car.
Sean O'Brien 18 seconds off the lead, roughly 24-second lap. So I think, barring a catastrophe, which SOB is capable of doing, Giglio should get the lucky dog.
I wouldn't be too confident on that. The lap time keeps dropping and dropping. He's already back down to 20 seconds off the lead, so he may be in danger of going a lap down here before the end of the stage.
So the catastrophe may be a reality.
many
RJ
such cases.
Yeah, RJ Root trying to, well, actually Tanner Marty, 12th, going for 12th right now on RJ Root. So we talked about the 29 having a solid run and, you know, not keeping the car clean, but he's actually showing a modest bit of speed here. So again, kudos to that 29 car. Hopefully it carries over for him into Monday as well as the rest of this race.
Yeah, there's a lot of racing left to do, but he's been pretty consistent tonight, so keep an eye on him. Here's another battle. Looks like Brandon Pierce is actually caught up to Neil Pearson. That would be for a top 10 position and a stage point if he can get around him. I mean, the rate he caught him, I feel like he's definitely got the faster car, at least for the moment, but he's only got about 5 laps to get around him for the stage point. And as we've established, passing not something that's going to happen super easily at a track like this. It's going to come at a premium tonight. On the bumper he goes, gets a good exit, but is he going to try to duck down low? Not close enough. Now into 3 and 4, into the trouble turn. Everybody's been getting loose on exit here. 38 gets another good exit, but has to breathe that throttle just a little bit. That's going to take away the momentum. Down into turn 1. Oh, there he goes.
Yeah, with Brandon Pierce as he's going to make this pass coming off of 2. He's been looking a lot better over the past couple weeks and has brought himself back into that top 25 point contention. With the points the way they are, now if with him in the top 25, all he would need is a win to get into the playoffs.
And win, and we talked about the tracks coming up with Michigan, 2 road courses and a plate track. So kind of 2 plate tracks and 2 road courses to finish this regular season up. So some opportunities there to get some wins here, but we're closing in on 2 to go. And for our lucky dog situation, it does look like SOB, he's about 3 seconds ahead of the leader. So barring him just dead stopping here, I think he'll carry on, stay on the lead lap, which will be good news for Giglio. But we'll see if that does commence here as you can see the drum hammer losing a spot to Wayne Grassi.
Wayne trying to get around him there on the low side as there's your race leader. 1.2 seconds to the good to Heitman. That's going to be the black car a little bit further back the straightaway there. Not going to be close enough as he takes lap 230. I believe it is going to be the completion of lap 230 that the stage will come out, but I've been surprised before.
10th place car on 230 should be the trigger based on trend, I believe.
And that will take a moment as the 10th place car is Pierce. He was 12 seconds back.
I believe it's on 231.
Yeah, so once Murray gets there.
Let's see who's right.
Yeah, it should be
231 right there. And then once 10th place comes around, look
Yellow
for that
car. Let's see
highlighter yellow.
They're missing.
There he is.
Nobody wins.
Oh,
There it is.
There it goes.
So when Brandon crossed the line, it did come out, as we kind of expected. So this is going to be a little bit less split than the first stage. Obviously, everybody on a more similar strategy, really no reason for anybody to stay out. We're expecting everybody to pit. But while they pit, you know, we've already talked to Alex Murray once. Who do you guys think we should talk to for stage 2?
Cody.
Oh boy, you're leaving it up to me.
Yes.
I
make decisions too many times.
Let's give a talk with Ralph Hutchinson.
All right. Once he comes out of the pits, we can do that.
Don't think he's gotten a lot of airtime this year, so.
No, he was absent for quite a few races, and
Today's
ever since
broadcast is brought to you by Air.
Yes. He's been absent, and now that he's come back and been running a little bit more consistently, he's been running pretty impressive, not having some bad races. Everybody coming down pit road, the leader Alex Murray sweeping the stages. Now, it's not very often in 100% Cup Series that the driver who swept both stages actually comes home with the win, so we'll see if Murray can break that curse, try to take home the checkered flag. Everybody get those cars put up on the jack stands, and I'm going to, while they finish up, try and locate the number 8
Derek
in Discord.
Heitman gets out of pit road first.
Oh, there he is. Okay, one moment. And Cody, you wanted to talk to him, so here you go.
Ralph, this is Cody up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
All right, Ralph, it looks like you have a very good car under you today, up into the top 5. After a couple weeks of being off, what are you feeling in the car, and what do you think of your chances here for the last 170 laps?
Not very good, considering what I just did on pit road. Car was coming to me, though, so it's good momentum nonetheless. I was trying to close the gap up on pit road there, and actually buzzed the tires and went around on pit road, so feel free to have a laugh at my expense on that one.
A live commentator's curse.
Wow, I am so sorry about that, Ralph. Did not want that to happen. All right, but do you think that you'll be able to work your way back through, or is dirty air a big factor here today?
Should. I'm still trying to gather my life up here, to be honest. I don't know. I can't believe I did that, but should be able to. I'd like to think I could salvage top 10 out of it.
Gotcha. Now, obviously, you moved over to Stint Analyzer Racing, away from Legacy. How has that transition been for you?
It's been a good transition. Obviously, still with Legacy on the back end, but working with Souza on the race strategies and teammates in that has been really good. They've been very receptive. Appreciate them not quitting on me when I had to take some time away for personal matters, and all's well.
Sounds good, Ralph. We'll let you get back to your team, and hopefully you can recover. Sorry for the live commentator curse.
Oh, it's... I did it to myself. Take care, guys.
That may be a first for a live commentator curse.
There's a replay.
I know I've done it a couple times, but we'll take a look at the replay and see exactly what happened to the number 8. He's coming down pit. Oh, no. That banking transition, guys.
I mean, banking is a inappropriate B starting word here, apparently, today.
Oh, that was risky.
Yeah, that banking transition not playing nice with a lot of these drivers. It's, you don't really think of Richmond being one of the tougher pit road entries, but it's proven to be quite the hassle.
Indeed the case here, but in terms of the pit cycle, 2 seconds slower on the pit lane delta time for Alex Murray has relegated him back to a 3rd place on this restart. Heitman and Gitter beat on the front row. Heitman, the control car, into the restart zone. Oh no, Murray got loose and takes Gitter with him.
Oh my goodness.
We stay green because they're in the grass there, but it was some serious wheel spin there for Murray. He got loose and wiggle-waggled into Gitter, and they will both go through the grass here, replay queuing, but because they spun in the place they did, Barney doesn't care, and he's going to let them race. Game changer right there.
Yeah, that was the driver who just dominated the first 2 stages, getting involved in a bit of a scuffle, and Patrick Gitter paying the price as well, just an innocent bystander, and now with no caution, they're going to be trapped way far back in the field. And it's going to take a while to get up there. I'm hearing a lot of chatter on driver radio as well. There's some drivers not happy with one another.
So that is the 3rd fast car to have issues here in the evening. Of course, Benefiel having his projectile vomiting as well as connection issues. And now we have that. But look, at these 2 guys have the opportunity to recover. But it's just a matter of whether the cards lay out perfectly for them. We do have a long sequence to the end, about 160 laps. So there's a lot of time, but if we have those green flag trends, well, never mind.
Jedi.
Oh boy. Everything has gone to a mess.
The clean race goes astray, and he just had a case of the wiggle waggles there. No. SOB. I'm trying to figure out what happened here. I'm looking at it on the back end.
No, too much
Well,
means.
we got a replay dialed up. Let's see.
Oh,
Looks
yeah.
like just a little bit too much throttle. He's going to go around, and cars were close enough. He was on the racing surface that one was a caution, which may be a lucky break for Gitter and Murray, who were involved again on that restart. That was a lot of wheel spin. I mean, they were smoking before he even started going around.
Also, I don't know if you can go back to that restart, Carlos. You mentioned a lot of radio chatter. Wayne Grassy got into the back of Sean O'Brien. Wayne Grassy is a lap down. Sean is still on the lead lap, and that's what they were discussing. So, a lot of drama here now that we're in the final stage. Everybody has lost their cool.
Ask me. if I can go to the green flag restart, like I said, if I haven't proven myself.
I am sorry, Carlos.
Who am I looking for?
So we're gonna watch Wayne Grassy because it looks like he got into SOB. I know they were chirping on the radio. So the number 3.
Yeah, the kerfuffle up in front.
Yep, they get through it. Wayne's down low. Getting into the corner here. Everybody's starting to check up for the caution.
Brody, you made him do some work here. You better not be failing on us.
No, I
there
definitely
was
saw
no
it. I think
Oh,
it's right
there.
here.
Oh, right about here. Everybody's checking up for the caution. A bit of a check up there.
Did another car go off? What was that smoke?
Oh, here we go.
And
There goes the stamp. There goes the
be
lickage. There goes the sendage. Well, not really a sendage. He tried to send it, but he decided to put it back on the table.
Yeah, I don't really understand that one. Especially when there was a caution coming out.
I think a lot of people are questioning it anymore. But anyway, yeah, going back to it now, this field is just upside down now with Alex Murray and Patrick Gitter.
Let's
Towards
try
the back
to
of
talk
the
to
field.
one of them. Pull up Gitter.
Talk to who?
Pull up Gitter, see if we can get his take on the
Alright.
restart.
Let's see if I can find him.
He's in here.
Patrick Gitter, you got a copy?
10-4.
Well, Patrick, kind of a odd restart there for stage 3 before this caution came out. Looked like Alex Murray got a little bit of wheel spin, got into you. Tell me about it from your perspective.
Yeah, he came over and apologized. He said he just shifted a second and spun it. So, I mean, I don't know. It's frustrating. They picked the bottom of the restart and couldn't handle it, I guess. But whatever. We'll drive up through the front and see if we can get it back.
Well, you definitely got the car to do it, and we've seen a lot of speed behind the wheel of that 21 so far tonight. And really the only place it looks like you're struggling is the long run, but it seems like you've gotten better at the long run. What are you learning when it comes to adapting to this track?
You know, it's... I think a lot of it's just pace. You got to know who you're driving around. You've got a short amount of time to figure out if it's going to be worth the pass or if you're going to bring your stuff up, try and get it done. So I think it's just going to be awareness and seeing what's going on around me.
And your teammate Dustin Hall has managed to sneak himself into the booth here, just snuck through the open door that you left.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened.
I was so
but,
confused.
yeah, I don't know how that happened, but hey there, Dustin. We're going to put you guys back in your team chat. You're about to go back green. Good luck, boys. Go get it.
Good luck to you guys.
10-4.
He cut him off.
I think what happened there was Carlos and I both reached for Patrick Gitter. So one of us
Shoot the next person in line.
grabbed the next person when we both reached for him. So a little bit confused. I think he was confused as we were. But, there goes the green flag. Derek Kiteman on the outside, going to lead him to the flag. And Andrew Dyson is going to try to defend second place, but a good run for Bobby Anderson on that restart on the outside. Doesn't culminate in much, as unfortunately that outside not going to be the place to go once you have to finally turn. So Lucas Hoitzman moving up into third in a battle. Brandon Pierce, Neil Pearson, these two were battling for the final stage point earlier and now find themselves together again.
Pearson starting to make a little bit of headway here towards the end of the race, as Pierce may have given him a little nudge there, or the air came off Pearson's spoiler, got a little bit loose there. But look at Tanner Marty. Again, now he's in the top 10, making a pass there by RJ Root. So 29 car brought a piece here in the top 10, but there goes someone to his inside. That's a 3-wide move, Matt Diciani. Looks like they'll go back to a 2-wide formation there, but an aggressive move by the 4 to try to get that spot.
Oh,
They'll go
Kevin
side by
Steele,
side.
Ralph
Oh my
Hutchison.
God, Hutchison just died and call the ambulance, call the helicopter, call everybody.
Call his mother.
That all stemmed. Oh no, that all
Call his
stemmed
mother.
from
Someone's gonna let her know
Kevin
what happens.
Steele.
Concussion protocol.
I see some workers on the infield getting the tarps. That was a driver's side hit.
That kind of looked like netcode from far away.
We'll take a
Yeah.
closer look at it. Keep your eye on that number 7. He's going to dive it down into the corner.
Wrecked by the admin. Oh, so we.
I don't
there was
know
a
that-
wait.
Yeah, that wasn't netcode.
There
Yeah.
was a lane. The lane might have been wide enough for exactly a car, but to quote Denny Hamlin, there was a lane.
Indeed, there
I-
was, but
I'll quote my analogy last night, Andre, that you saw in chat. If you have $11 in your pocket, should you spend $10.98 at Chick-fil-A?
no,
No, not chicken.
But can you?
you can. Yes.
So that's kind of what I take to those situations.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. We're gonna do a short break. Let them get double filed up, and we'll be back for the drop of the green.
Hot.
And lights are off on the pace car. We're going to be going back green again after the 7th caution on the night. It's going to be about 147 laps to go. Once this pace car pulled off, green flag underway. It's going to be Derek Heitman and Andrew Dyson. Hopefully we can get a few green flag laps under our belt here. We don't want to start a trend, but Heitman's been pretty good on these restarts, and to the lead he goes. We got Dyson a little bit further back, and very hungry Lucas Weitzma. He was further back in the field, maybe not feeling the car. Now he sees an opportunity for some track position. He's trying to take it, but not without challenge. Bobby Anderson's been strong all night long, and he's right there with him. A bit further back as well, Hoffman, Paget, Pearson. All these drivers trying to scramble for position while they can before we get single file and things get tough.
And of course, you still have Gitter after that little endeavor with whoever it was that I already forgot about. Murray. Gitter already up to the 10th spot. Murray up to 12, so already a quick recovery for those guys. So still very much in it with 140 some odd laps to go and still a pit stop nonetheless. But here we go. Battle for the lead. Andrew Dyson passes and clears with ease. I think Heitman just said, take it, go burn your stuff off, and I'll get you back later, maybe.
Yeah, Andrew Dyson's been in this top 5 pretty much the whole race minus the earlier contact with Alex Van de Sande. And it's really impressive because obviously we've seen him win 2 road course races, but he's showing his skill on an oval right now.
We're 3 wide entering 1, by the way. Miller on the bottom, Giglio That has fizzled out, so some serious racing there. Hornet's nest of vehicles there battling, so if anything's going to happen, it'll probably be in that little group of cars there. I'm trying to drop coagulation from my vocabulary because it does not mean anything that I thought it meant, but I still might slip it out there.
What
But
does
a
it
lot
mean?
of heavy-duty racing on the screen. As Carlos asked me, what does coagulate mean? It means liquids that solidify. It does not mean coming together from separate entities as I thought it did. So I don't think these guys are liquid turning into solid, but with all the hard incidents we've had, maybe they are.
Yeah, or I would say Ralph Hutchison was probably a solid that became a liquid with that hit.
Facts.
Or you can save that for when the racing action gets cold, because then the liquid turns into solid.
Carlos, are you on, by the way?
Yeah, I'm on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have that information, so I don't know if I have to repeat something or not. So now we know. But anyways, you can see what do we have on screen right now? That's Murray trying to make his recovery up to the 9th spot, get her up to 7. So they're kind of using that, I call it the ambulance wake there. Contact with Diciani there. Another scare for Murray, but he does manage to gather it back up there. He's trying to use Gitter as his ambulance wake there to cut through the traffic for me. I'll follow you through, but now Diciani has kind of ruined that strategy for him.
I don't know how Murray saved that.
He's just that dagnam good.
When he veered back up towards traffic, I thought that's going to be big, but he was able to gather it up, and the caution really did help him. After being stuck in the infield, he's back inside the top 10. Still got quite a bit of speed. He didn't hit anything when he spun, so no damage, no worse for wear. Got a bit of a second shot at life here, as he is currently running down Matt Diciani in the 4, Neil Pearson right ahead of him. Just trying to pick off these positions. He's got some time to do it as well, but Dyson really starting to pull away. I wasn't sure if he was really going to be able to pull away once he got out to the point, but he's got 0.8 of a second almost over Hoytsma. Heitman's falling back to third. He's 1.2 back, so Heitman good on the jump, but not showing the speed right now.
Yeah, Hoytsma off to second again. I mean, you could say many things about what got the match lit for Hoytsma. I'm just going to say he has the broadcast on in the background. He said that we called him slow, and he said, I'll hold my legal 100% series beverage. And here he is up to second here. But looks like on screen, here comes Diciani underneath Pearson. That is for the 7th spot. And then you have Pat Gitter getting underneath. I believe that's Hoffman he's back up to the top 5 very nearly.
Yeah, we're starting to see how this race is going to play out, and Patrick Gitter is moving up back through the field. And don't forget, Clayton Hoffman did win last week at Pocono, so he is showing some more muscle here on the short track here today.
He's moving up, back through the field.
Up, back, down, around, same thing.
Swinging around town there to bring the SpongeBob into it as well. But we're kind of getting to that point, guys, in the run. This is 30 laps, I believe, or give or take. So this is around that time. If you get to about, I say, 40 to 50 laps, that's usually when the green flag flare hits. These guys are slowly starting to separate. The battles are going from side by side to maybe 1 car length, they'll get 2 car length. And then everyone's just kind of handling, just hanging on for dear life. And that's when we see green flag stops like we saw earlier. There's still at least 1 more pit stop on the table here. So depending how long this goes, we might have one of those risky situations where do you make the pit stop under green and then get bit? Do you wait? Kind of the scary situation for the crew chiefs on the box here, like Jeffrey Souza, I believe, who is tonight.
We haven't had a green flag.
I think at this point, we've seen enough from the trend of the race that I'm not coming down pit road early. Every time we've got green flag stops that commence, something happens, caution comes out, and we've seen drivers track laps down both times that started to happen. So if I'm a driver on track, I'm waiting until I can run that thing just about out of fuel before I come down pit road.
The good old Cody Bird strategy. The most undefeated thing. I don't think I was ever burnt by that, Andre.
Not once. Not a single time.
Nope, I'm perfect. No, kidding, of course. But yeah, looking at the battles now, Dustin Hall is fighting his way back up into the top 10 as well. On screen battling Mark Pageant with Robert Miller, who was just a lap down about 20-25 laps ago.
He's recovering from his little pit road faux pas there of spinning out on the banking transition, which seen it twice in one race at Richmond. That's more times than I've ever seen it ever. But again, 14 degrees doesn't sound like a lot, but when it goes from 14 to 0, it's quite drastic. Some of these tracks have a modestly banked apron. Not here at Richmond. It is flat as a board. I'm looking up front, guys. Lap times have equalized between the leaders. The gap's still 3/4 of a second, so Dyson doing a good job. And I know he won, obviously, at Chicago. I'd have to go back on the history books here. Has Dyson won on an oval yet in the Big Boy Series?
I don't believe he has. I believe he has won Chicago and Sonoma.
So he is the Juan Montoya who is looking to break the oval curse. And
fun fact.
Fun fact by
Fun
our
fact.
producer.
Fun fact, Montoya almost won at an oval in Richmond.
I remember that there was a green-white checker that went astray. He almost won at Indy until he had a pit road penalty. I think that happened twice. So yeah, Montoya had
And
many
also
opportunities. Yeah, Dover he was good at too. Look at Carlos with all this heavy-duty information.
So my dad would wake up early in the morning in Peru to watch Montoya race in Formula One.
Yeah, Montoya, he definitely had some good runs on the ovals, and they really kind of came down to luck. I think that some of those didn't come to fruition, but it makes sense. Road courses take a little bit of finesse on the brakes, and now it takes some finesse with the shifting, so they play a lot like a road course. So if you're good at those kinds of tracks, you're going to be good here.
Oh, Andre, fun fact for you, because the year 2003 is one that is strong in your memory. It has now been 20 years since the Jeff Gordon-Juan Montoya car swap at Indy.
Oh, no.
That was in 2003, where Jeff Gordon drove Formula One around Indy Road, and then Juan Montoya took the Winston Cup car. So it did happen at Watkins Glen with Tony Stewart and I want to say Lewis Hamilton at a wet Watkins Glen a few years ago, but that was not nearly as well publicized. But getting back to our action on the racing circuit here, Dustin Hall on screen here. He does have RJ Root behind him, who's kind of been hanging around the edge of the top 10, hasn't really shown any lightning pace, but still having a modest run there. And the Brandon Lasers, is that a Mustang, I believe that is? Yes, it is. And surprising, Brandon's Lasers not in our YouTube chat here, Andre. What is going on in this world?
I don't know. Maybe we drove him away by not talking about Benefiel wrecking somebody for 4 hours.
Oh my God. No, that was somebody else. I can't remember who that was.
I know. But either way, who knows? Maybe he's off trying to etch a trophy preemptively for whoever wins the race. Who knows? But here's a bit of a battle here. Robert Miller, who has not really recovered up until now from that pit road spin. He just got inside the top 10 for the first time since that incident. Now he's putting the bumper to Matt DiCiani, trying to gain another position or two, but it's been a long road to come back from that mistake.
Yeah, and especially at Richmond, with just how this track races, that probably felt like 6 hours for Robert Miller to get back up into it. Obviously now showing the pace and getting past some guys, and I'm sure he's happy now, but I'm sure that stretch there, he was probably ready to drive that car into the outside wall.
Yeah, not ideal situations indeed here. As see another driver, looks like Dustin Hall here. We're just looking for battles here on track. See the back of the shot there. Dustin Hall losing another spot there, so we brought him in the booth here. He was he's another one of those drivers who's been right around the top 10, but just can't seem to get much further ahead than that. So just kind of chugging along. And let's see, is there anybody we haven't really focused here on the evening, guys? Just kind of going through our standings here. We've more or less covered everybody at this point. So about 50 laps in. I know as good a time as ever to do a little bit of a through the field, guys. What do you say?
Works for me.
Yes, sir.
Up front, we have Andrew Dyson, who has led this race for a total of 26 laps, 3/4 of a second up. He's telling the field to shush. Yeah, interesting photo. Lucas Hoitzma currently running in second. We talked about him being a slow poke. He was back there, the teens. What's he doing back there? Well, he turned the afterburners on, but still trying to close himself in on the lead. He's in second. Derek Heitman, fast car, in third. Had a good run last night in D2, having a good run as well in the third spot. Cornflakes Mobile of Short Track Bobby, he has been a top 5 car. Again, third to 6th place car. I'd say not blazing speed for the win, but solid run nonetheless. Pat Gitter just behind him, trying to recover from that incident he got slightly dismembered on the restart there by the same car who was just behind him in the form of Alex Murray. But they had that incident on the restart, and they're both making their recoveries of sorts. Murray, a very fast car on the evening. Clayton Hoffman in the 7th spot. Solid run for him. Last week's winner at the wherever we were last week that memory has lost beyond. Pocono. Neil Pearson in 8th. Decent run for him, starting to get a little bit faster over the course of the race. Robert Miller in 9th. This kind of track just not really suiting him apparently. And then Matt DeCiani in the 10th spot, under fire from Mark Paget.
Outside of the top 10, it looks like it is going to be Mark Paget fighting for that 10th position with DeCiani, and he's been pretty solid all night long. Maybe not the fastest car on track, but he's definitely been mingling with the front runners, and would not be surprised to see him finish out the night strong. 12th place, if we pan back, is going to be 45, RJ Root, the birthday boy, currently just outside the top 10. He's maybe not had a winning car tonight, but he's kept it clean, hasn't had too many incidents, so sometimes that's what counts, especially later on in the race. 13th place is going to go to Dustin Hall, our impromptu booth visitor in number 1, and he is currently trying to keep that 38 of Brandon Pierce at bay, who's currently running 14th. Brandon got a stage point earlier in stage 2, fell out of the top 10 pretty early on in this stage and hasn't quite gotten back there. 15th place, if we go a little bit further back, that's going to be Derek Heitman, or no, Tanner Marty, sorry, in the 29. So still keeping the car clean, surprisingly, has not turned on the magnet yet, so everybody's been able to kind of keep clear of him, but next on back, because I think that may have been was that for position?
No,
the 16 past him? It was not for position. Jamie Knopf in the 84 qualified pretty well, but he's down a couple of positions from where he qualified in 16th. Trying to get one of them back, trying to get around Tanner Marty. 17th place, if we can find him, should we go on into the corner. SOB had a bit of a scuffle under caution with a number 3. And while he showed pace earlier in stage 1, that pace left him pretty quick. He's yet to find it. 17th right now for the 24. 18th, hey, there he is. Wayne Grassi, the driver who SOB had the problem with. So these two have not, they've not lost each other, not yet. So Wayne Grassi holding down 18th, a little bit further back. I believe 19th is going to go to Blake Giglio in the 16. Currently the first car a lap down. And Kevin Steele will be the next one a lap down behind him. But there is the number 7 running out the top 20.
21st, we're going to have Randy Drumhammer. Very quiet day, not really getting involved with anybody, but just kind of running around, running his own race. 22nd, we have Jedi Jason S. Taylor, whose strategy may not be working again and towards the back of the field. Obviously not where he wants to be. Jason just dropped. That's my apologies. Jim Schofield was 22nd. 23rd, Rob Tracy. Again, haven't really talked about him much today. We're just running a clean race, running his race. 24th would have been Jason S. Taylor, but we're going to highlight Jim Schofield. Again, may have mixed him up earlier with the 97. Again, quiet day, nothing really happening.
Cody, you had one job.
What was that?
To not screw it up.
Oh, well, I screwed it up, so I apologize.
You got one more driver, come on.
25th is Alex Van de Sant, who, beginning of the race, obviously had that issue on the front stretch, and just his day has not gone well. Rounding out the field, we'll round out the field. 26th, Ralph Hutchinson in the garage, Michael Christopher in the garage, Trevor C. Ryan in the garage, Adam Benefield in the garage, and Richard Reagan in the garage as well. And I think I just lost privileges to do through the field going forward.
Someone check the YouTube comments.
Brandon is here. He has used his spidey senses to know that we said where is he, and he has arrived. So trying to see if RJ Root is going to have a better run and try to get in that top 10 spot. As I did see Brandon Pierce make a pass there on Disiani, who is kind of not struggling, just not having the speed that he normally has. But guys up front, 3/4 of a second was the lead prior to us doing the through the field. Now 3/10 is the lead post doing through the field here. As you can see Jedi just in front, 2 laps down, soon to be 3. But I wonder if that little bit of dirty air on the nose of the 0-4 and or maybe he pushed the envelope too early in the run. And now Heitman and Hoytsma are making that a 3-way battle for our race lead.
Yeah, they're closing in on one another. Dyson had started to pull away, and we'd mentioned that earlier, but that lead starting to fade as Heitman and Hoytsma just closing back in. And remember, Derek Heitman actually dropped back to third at one point. So
Disiani into the pits.
He got back around for second place, which shows he's got some good long run speed. But yes, our green flag pitting sequence has officially begun. We're about 101 laps from the end of this race, so they would be good on fuel if they were to pit here. Question is, place your bets. Do we actually get through the green flag pitting sequence?
We're 67 laps into the run, so probably another 30 laps is available to stretch it if you choose. But obviously, Disiani, who's kind of just had an average run here tonight, just trying something different, trying to use the undercut there and seeing what he can gain on 30 laps, seeing if it'll sustain. But again, that's rolling the dice, saying it's going to go green. The cards are lined up to say it'll be green, but that's just a sign to say that it's not going to happen that way. We'll see what happens here. As I am noticing, guys, this track is starting to marbleize up, so as if that pit entry has been enough of a problem here today, just throw some marbles on there and make it a little bit better.
Yeah, that might help.
I know you can't really see them in your feed, Andre, but they are there, I can guarantee you.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting a little bit further into the race, so I believe it. That's maybe giving them a little bit more grip as they've laid down some rubber, kicked some marbles down there. I don't know. But either way, it's been tough for them to get down to that pit road so far tonight. And I guess you don't have a whole lot of time to make that left-hand turn. And the biggest issue for really both the drivers is just non-commitment. You have your right sides on the banking, got your left sides on the flat, and it's just a recipe for disaster. So got to make that move, got to make it quick, and you got to make sure not to spin yourself out. But like you said, they can go quite a ways before they need to worry about that specifically. I mean, obviously you can take the undercut, you can pit right now, but as they were only about 65-ish laps into the run, they can go another 30. And speaking of going for something, how about going for the lead? Looks like Derek Heitman is going to try to make a move to the low side of Dyson. Derek Heitman has had a good long run car. Again, he passed the 0-7. Now he's going to pass the 0-4 back to the point for the first time since the restart.
So guys, a typical strategy in this situation is when you lose positions, or you see it mainly with lap cars, exactly when you go a lap down, you pit, because now you've lost your edge. You may as well pit and kind of restart your sequence here. I wonder for Dyson, if that's on the cards, if that's on the table, you lost the lead, your car is going away. Why not keep playing on the strategy card and take a shot at it and get some pressures on and try to get him on the back end of the run?
Yeah, and we'll see Rob Tracy come down pit road. Something else to take a look at on the top of the screen. The top 6 are all within 2 seconds. This field has really bunched up here towards the end, or in the middle of this run.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you there. I also want to point out that Murray had been making his way back up through the field, past a lot of cars like they were standing still. Then he got to Bobby Anderson, and he's not been able to get around him yet. He's not been able to pull up to the bumper, not been able to really make that move. And actually, Murray may be dropping another position right here as Robert Miller gets underneath, and he's going to take that spot away. So it was a drive through the field for Murray, and now that the tires are starting to go away, long run speed actually fading him, which is interesting because it seemed like he had really good long run speed when he was out front, but that dirty air may be playing havoc.
Yeah, we're just going through the field. He used too much of the good to get to the lead, to that position, and now none of the good is left. So now he's in a worse spot than everybody else. So either or could be plausible here, but as every lap that goes by, we become closer and closer to the rest of the drivers coming to pit road. The drivers who did pit already, such as Matt DeCiani, currently running about 0.8 of a second faster a lap. So with every lap that goes by that you run 0.8 faster, imagine the lead he'll have over the guys he was racing against. Once they all pit, he's going to be at that much of a disadvantage.
Yeah, and looking at the gaps even more and more, you can definitely tell tires are starting to fall off. Somebody else to take a look at is Patrick Gitter. He was in front of Alex Murray there for a while on that little run through the field. He's fallen back to 10th. So getting through the field wasn't as easy for him as it was Alex Murray, and now he's paying the price.
I think it's just so hard to pass here at Richmond that you just have to use so much car to make these passes that it's just not sustaining on a long run, and maybe even better just to, you know, stock their back bumper, let them make the mistake and you get them by, than you asserting yourself and kind of sacrificing your car at the back end of the run.
Yeah, that would be the case, but I tell you what, Brandon Pierce has just been really impressing me so far tonight. He has been on it, and I know that Richmond isn't really a track that he particularly looks forward to, but he's had some solid pace. The fact that he's keeping up with this 21, even if the 21's starting to fade on the older tires, not having the best of times right now, the fact that he's keeping up with somebody who led a lot of laps so far tonight shows that he's got some speed. And with just a little under 100 laps to go and some green flag pitting coming up, he could definitely work his way into a top 5 finish tonight if the cards fell correctly.
Oh, Andre, you said he had some solid pace. Did that pace at any point, was it a liquid?
I mean, we'll go with it. Yeah, probably back in stage
his
1.
His pace has coagulated, so I will find a way to use this word in some kind of accurate context here. Is Bobby Anderson getting by Dyson, so Dyson has gone from the lead back to 5th here, now almost 2.25 seconds back. So again, I am genuinely shocked that he is still on track now. I would think, you know, the cards are on the table to run the alternate strategy. Here comes Gitter. So now a fast driver who has race-winning speed, although not the track position. He's coming to pit road with, what, 84 to go.
Yeah, and something else to take a look at, Robert Miller's up to 3rd. So Robert Miller has found that pace after you said that he didn't have the pace today, Corey. So it sounds like we're jinxing all the LMM
reverse
drivers.
Jinx. Tell them to go slow. Tell them they're slow, and they find a way to go fast.
Yeah, so with the pit stop starting to take sequence here, it's going to be interesting to see how these all cycle out and who made the right call.
All right, let's test this logic to the utmost ability. SOB, you're slow. So now he's going to win, right?
You know, I kind of doubt it.
Every rule does have its limitations, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, really the only criticism I can give SOB right now is just his lawn is terrible. I mean, I can't stress that enough. I mean, it's like the guy's never seen a mower in his life. He's got the deck set to like 4.5, and even after he cuts it, it doesn't look like it. It's not good, and he always cuts it right after it rains, so it clumps up, and he doesn't have a mulching kit, so the clippings just lay there.
So have you been to his house and have you seen this live, or is this solely through media forms?
I don't even know if he has a lawn, but he insulted mine once, so.
What if he lives in an apartment and it's all managed by a landscaping company? Is it his fault or is it the landscapers?
It's his fault.
It's his
a real
fault
man
for,
takes
for
charge
having,
of his lawn.
You get a pass once, because then you see, they're bad landscapers, and you fire them. You get good landscapers. But if you're constantly having bad lawn because of the landscaper, that's on him. You know what? I'm gonna back you up, Andre. He probably has never used an actual push lawnmower. He probably only goes with the machines.
A real man goes down with scissors and individually cuts each blade with individual love. As RJ Root coming to the pits right now.
I would say, you know, the manliest lawn care tool? It's absolutely a scythe. If you walk out into your yard with a scythe and you just start slashing, you're going to terrify your neighbors and just assert dominance over the entire neighborhood.
So look up AndreLandscaping.com will be a new sponsor of the league for next week. So .edu. So it'll be an educational resource here. It'll have some live classes and 99 cents a month for a subscription to such service. So stay tuned for that in coming weeks. But 90 laps in, guys. So the pit stops will be coming fast and furious here over the next 10 or so. Of course, Gitter has already come in, the fastest driver to come to pit road. He's going to probably have a plausible chance to be the race leader at the end of this deal with each lap he goes by gaining almost a second lap.
Yeah, no, and the field jumbled
Yeah,
up.
no.
All right, this is like Andre saying absolutely. Derek Heitman coming into the pits.
Absolutely.
Well, you started a sentence with two opposite words. I mean, where was I supposed to go with that? Yeah, no.
Okay,
Yeah.
Corey, listen.
I'm
I'm gonna
listening.
back Cody up on this.
Yeah.
You're from New England. You're not from the Midwest, but that's one of those things. You know, it's like saying, "Oh," like when you walk by somebody and it's like a tight fit. You're like, "Oh, sorry about that." It's one of those things that we say. It's like,
Okay.
yeah, no.
It's also a very Hispanic
We
thing.
say it all the time.
Hispanic people also say
Is it really?
all the time. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or
So
I think we do in New
Midwesterners
England
and
where,
Hispanics have something in common.
or here in New England, we just say, hey, how you, like you don't say hi to someone, you say how you doing. And then instead of saying I'm doing good or hi, you just say how you doing. So you both ask each other a question, and that's somehow a way of greeting each other. So getting the English language at its finest here. As we do have Murray and Miller. So the past guys coming to pit road, and that's Neil Pearson, who had life flash before his eyes there.
Gotta point out,
Cody,
Patrick
he
Kenner
almost
has
pulled
the
a you with
fastest
those
lap of
sand
the race.
barrels.
Yeah, he almost pulled at me, and I was going to have to send him a red check, which I really don't think overseas mailing is cheap, so it probably would have costed more to send than what I would have collected. But this field right now, everybody's hoping for no caution to come out and let this thing cycle through. A lot of guys, 2 laps down, only the top 10 are on the lead lap right now.
So a caution here would prove deadly, and I would imagine maybe 105 will probably be the absolute stretch lap, and you'd probably figure someone is going to push it here. Padgett down into the pits. Lucas Hoytsma has taken over the race lead in temporary manner at the very least, so he'll get some laps led, and it boils down to an ultimate scenario, guys, where do you want to be the chaser who has the fresh tires, or do you want to be the chasee who's the undercut guy who's trying to hang on? That's kind of where the pit strategy ball game puts you.
Yeah, it's going to be a waiting game and see where you sort out. I think some of the drivers that took the undercut may have actually taken the undercut a little bit too early. I think by the time these guys pit, their tires are going to be so worn out, they're not going to be able to defend against that pace.
Here comes Lucas.
Yeah, Lucas Hoytsma coming down pit road. Really only a few more holdouts. Anderson, Hoffman, Dyson, everybody else having come down pit road just about. Dustin Hall also staying out. It's going to put him up into 4th as SOB is worked up into 5th place, which is better than I would rank his lawn. Currently running 14 seconds back.
What if you put AstroTurf down?
It's even worse. That's just, if you have an AstroTurf lawn, you're not a man.
That's what they do in the desert, because they're not allowed to water their lawn because of drought issues. You just put AstroTurf down, or you spray paint it green just because you can't water it, so you can make it look good somehow.
He's not living in a desert.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think SOB lives in the desert, though. As much as I wish he did, you know, unfortunately, he's in normal people land.
I wouldn't consider Rhode Island normal people.
It's close enough.
Nobody in New England is normal people.
Can you attest
Not
to
wrong.
this, Corey?
I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, if I did this broadcast speaking in a Boston accent, I would have got fired a long time ago. So these guys are going wicked fast here around Richmond Raceway, and we'll give them a Dunky's donut after they park their car and get some gas.
Okay, hold up. Nobody in the Midwest calls it donkeys, do they? Or nobody in New England?
Donkeys,
really?
yeah. We have donkeys, we have cumbies, everything here. We have packies, everything is IES here.
I'm so confused. I've never heard anybody call it donkeys.
You go to the liquor store, you're going to the packy.
Okay, lessons in New England, I guess. So I'm learning things, you're learning things, the whole yeah, no thing. And of course in the Midwest, we also have the nobody can ever actually leave. Like you stand up to leave your buddy's house and you know it's going to be another 45 minutes because you're just going to slowly be inching closer to the door while they continue to make conversation.
While they try to force feed you 5-pound salads full of chicken and other fatty substances.
I mean, that could be. That could be. But in the meantime, looks like we do have Andrew Dyson coming down pit road, finally giving up that track position. Right side jack goes up, and I'm sure it's going to be a 4-tire stop. It would be kind of inconceivable that it would be 2.
Let's see if SOB can lead a lap, guys. He's still on track. 103. Hoffman and Hall. Nope, it's here from Matt DeCiani to pass him, so on the fresh tires already. That was the only way SOB was going to lead a lap today is on the strategy, and he still couldn't do it.
Yeah, Matt DeCiani, with that early pit stop that he had, he's going to come out the leader after this all cycles through.
But 38 laps on the tires now. He is in turn 4 now. The next guy on fresh tires is now in turn 4 in the form of Pat Gitter, who has 18 lap fresher tires. Last time by about 5 seconds as pit stops there for whoever that was, Hoffman, but already running about a half second slower is DeCiani in relation to Gitter, so those undercut tires are already at a detriment.
Yeah, as I mentioned, if you take the undercut too far, when those leaders do pit, you're going to have so much better tires that there's not a whole lot you can do to defend when they get up to you. So it's a balancing act. You got to play it at just the right time. And I think some of these drivers came in really early. I mean, all the way back on lap 299 was the first car we saw come down pit road. And we've got cars just now exiting with 60 laps to go here on 340. So it's going to be not just a few tenths of a second difference for these guys. We're looking at a second and a half, 2 seconds a lap for some of these guys.
The ideal situation is a caution, probably right around, I'd say 360 or so, because that'll be a point that everybody comes back to pit road, and if you are on the undercut, you probably didn't lose too many spots by then, so that way you can kind of reset and maybe you're at a net gain. But that's if that caution comes out. And we are going to have tonight, guys, the point of no return, where at some point you can't pit any later. So if a caution comes out at a certain lap, you're kind of stuck. So I think everybody does have at least 2-3 sets on the wall still. I don't think tires are going to be a concern here at all, as Gitter is being stalked by Miller, who has 10 lap fresher tires. So that is 10 lap fresher tires. You can see the speed difference that's already being applicable.
And this is going to tell the tale, I think, when it comes to how difficult it is to pass 10 lap fresher tires, and Roberts still not able to breeze by him. That 21's holding the bottom lane, doing a good job putting up a fight for it. I think Miller might get it here, but it's still, I mean, that took him 3 or 4 laps to work him over and take that position, even with the tire advantage. So this track is going to be a bit of a monster when it comes to passing.
And then Heitman just behind. Heitman is on the same lap sequence. A lap, he has 1 lap older tires than Miller, so that's 76 right there, having some speed, and already DeCiani back to the 5th spot. And again, his last lap, a 23.7, Miller a 22.9, 8 tenths of a second difference there on that undercut strategy. So huge situation there. And all over the place now, Dustin Hall, he is, what is he at? Oh, he's 2nd right now, but he hasn't pit yet. Still 112 laps in the run, so he'll be about 3-4 laps down once this all evens out.
yeah, down 3 or 4 laps, that's the point, like you mentioned, of no return. But I think his goal here was just to go out and see what his car had. But yeah, no, Robert Miller came into the pits third and came out the leader. So whatever he did on that pit stop and whatever Andre spoke to him before the race about seems to be working.
Working indeed. Here comes what may be the final taker down pit road. Dustin Hall finally giving up some track position. Lap 347. Went a long way on that tank of gas to get to pit road when he did. But that is going to do it for the green flag pitting. And we got through it without a caution. So that actually happened tonight. And right now, Robert Miller leading the way. Patrick Gitter 0.8 of a second back. Derek Heitman is in third. Now, here's something to keep an eye on. Derek Heitman has probably the best long-run car in the field. He was able to get around a lot of cars once the stage kind of wound down before. So I think we're going to see him close in on the leaders. Whether or not he can make the moves and actually take the lead for himself, I don't know. Remains to be seen. But
Cristiani coming back to pit road.
Oh. So something going on with that number 4. I almost wonder if he didn't take enough fuel or if maybe something wasn't checked on the box when he came down. He was one of the first to come down pit road, wasn't he?
50 laps. He was 50 laps into his sequence. But he was already dropping like a rock here. He pitted right around lap 300. Maybe he realized, crap, this isn't going to work. And he's just, ripping off the Band-Aid here and getting on even keel. But or
he may be trying to split the stage into thirds and trying to see, because how many laps do the guys... Hear me out.
No, I'm not hearing you out.
Hear me out.
I'm not hearing you. Okay, fine, go.
These guys are on, what, about 30 to 40 lap old tires?
Andre, can you tell them no?
So
well, some of them are. Some of them are on pretty fresh tires. Some of them are on... It's been separated quite a bit, but...
I think this could be a strategy. I don't think it's a race-winning strategy, but I think it's a strategy that may get him a top 10.
And the reason I refute so heavily, my friend, is that a pit stop, he will have to redrive, power drive about 2.5 laps to even get back to where he was prior in about 18 minutes of racing. So I would love to make you feel good, but I just don't think that's the case.
I am willing to bet that he finishes top 10, Corey.
What do you want to bet on it?
I don't know.
About a $5 Dunkies gift card.
Okay, I like Starbucks-y a little more, but sure enough. But yeah, going back to it, this is just getting wild now at this point with the top 10.
Lucas Hoytsma, he is the freshest tire. Actually, Dyson is the freshest tires in 9th spot, but he's 8.5 seconds back. Next freshest set of tires is going to be Hoytsma in 5th. He's 3.7 back, but he's running identical laps to Miller. So remember that he was one of the later ones to pit. I don't think that he's going to be able to undo that 3.5 seconds. So really the gap is going to be between first and second. Heitman has got it from 1.25 seconds down to 1, as Jason Taylor going his bajillion flap down, actually just 2. He's right in the middle there. But we'll see if Heitman has that long run pace. But again, Miller just turned the jets on here in stage 3. Thought he just had an average car. Well, really above average, as he is up front with a healthy margin.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid lead. But again, Heitman with that long run car, you cannot count him out. You've also got Murray getting around Patrick Gitter up into 3rd now. So the driver who swept both stages finally back on the podium. And a little bit, there's a moment on the tri-oval curve straightaway, whatever you want to call it. Can't tell who that was, but
also another driver, kind of one of the heartbreak stories of the race. There goes Giglio exiting pit road. Remember the speed he had? Well, now he is 22nd, 2 laps down in that 16 car.
Yeah, not entirely sure what happened. I feel like he had to have some sort of damage. Maybe he got into the wall, maybe something happened, but that car just not right, and we kind of missed what happened, but he was a contender.
had that speed early, and he fell backwards on a pit strategy and just never got himself back through the field. And whether that was damage or just the handling went away, not quite sure, as we are seeing more pit stops here. Pit road's becoming a busier place. Jason Taylor in the pits, Rob Tracy, these are all back markers, but still making some pit stops here with now 40 laps to go. Up front, lead is starting to grow. Was down to a second, now it's up to a second and a half, and that is not attributed to traffic, that is attributed to raw pace. So if Heitman does have a long run car, well, it's time to make things go fast, because right now they ain't going fast enough.
Yes, somebody else to take a look at is RJ in 6th. Obviously, he's been towards the mid part of the top 10 to 15 range. He's found some pace here late in the race and moves up to 6th.
Yeah, he's been picking up the pace a little bit, and he's been comfortably a top 10 car tonight. It seems like every time we talk about that 45, he's up inside the top 10. He's had a clean car, hasn't got involved in any scuffles or anything like that. He's pretty much nailed his pit entries and exits. Not the fastest car, but definitely one of the cleanest, and looking to be a pretty good points day for the birthday boy. And right ahead of him, that's a battle going on. Lucas Hoytsma trying to get around Patrick Gitter for 4th, and he will clear himself coming down the straightaway. Gitter, that car is so fast on the short runs. I mean, it is just blazing fast on fresh tires, but it seems like that long run pace is subpar compared to everybody else, and it's where he's really starting to lack. So the 07 didn't take much to get around him there. He's got a ways up the road, about another second and a half before he gets to Murray. But either way, if the 21 can get that top 5 he talked about in his interview, that's going to be a good points day.
Yes, indeed. And I do want to make point to the $5 Dunkies gift card that I may have on offer to me. Matt DeCiani start-finish line right now. 10th place, Mark Paget entering turn 1. So Matt DeCiani will have to go about 1.25 laps to get back to the top 10 in now 35 times around. So I will look forward to my cold brew coffee tomorrow, Cody.
Yeah, I saw
If
that.
a caution comes out, it nullifies it, because that is an unqualified race-changing event. But if this goes green, indeed, I want my gift card.
Fair enough.
Yay, I get coffee tomorrow, which I will very much need. But let's see what else we got going on, guys. Wayne Grassy lost the spot to Dustin Hall, and Dustin Hall kind of one of those 10th place drivers. We've had a lot of the guys like that tonight, where 8th to 15th, we've just kind of seen the same guys just kind of swap places, but no one's really made much progress. Only a few, such as Miller, have really made progress out of that 8th to 15th place bubble. But we've seen guys like Tanner Marty in there, Pierce, Paget, Hoffman. Dyson has lost some spots, but again, some guys just have speed, but they just don't have enough to really make something happen with it.
Yeah, it goes back to the way this track's been racing all night long. You can have the slightly faster car, you can have the speed, but you've really got to be aggressive. There's no two ways about it. If you want to make a move, you want to get around somebody, you've got to force the issue. You can't just roll around and wait for them to open the door, because it's just probably not going to happen. There goes Blake Giglio trying to get around Andrew Dyson again, not for position, I don't believe, no, because he's 2 laps down. Dyson is currently running 9th. But, yeah, it's not about having the speed. It's about knowing what to do with it. Up front, I want to point out, Robert Miller is actually pulling away from Derek Heitman a little bit. It was 1.5 seconds. Now it's 2. So at least for the time being, Robert appears to have the slightly quicker car. I'm curious to see if that long-run speed for the 76 does kick in at any point here. Alex Murray 3 seconds back in 3rd. Hoytsma, Root, Gitter, Anderson, Pearson, Dyson, and Hoffman. But getting a lot of separation, and I got to ask you, and I guess, Cody, you can go first. Do you think we're going to see a caution before the end of this? I mean, we got 30 to go. It's been pretty green so far here in Stage 3.
I'm going to plead the 5th here, because it seems like I have a driver curse. Whenever I say that yes, there will be a caution, no, there will be a caution, and then I talk about a driver, the caution normally comes out. So I'm going to refrain from saying yes or no. I'm going to say maybe.
I'm going to say no, and here's my logic. Because everybody is on slightly different tire set right now, and in slightly different, speeds, most drivers they know what they have and they know what they don't have. And if you know you don't have it, you're just going to try to make the most of it rather than fighting for something that you know your car can't sustain. When we have cautions, it's when everybody's on the same set of tires and everybody feels like Superman and they're trying to get it all. But in a situation like this, I think guys they know where their target should be, and their aim is just going to kind of be to finish there rather than push the car where it shouldn't be. That's at least what I think, but I'm probably wrong.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with how separated everybody is. It doesn't seem very likely. And the aggression levels, like you said, they're not going to be super high because I think everybody's kind of sorted out where they're going to run. They know what their pace is and where they're likely going to finish, so there's no need to overdrive or underdrive. Just run your race, run your pace, and do what you can. But at the same time, it is a short track. It's Richmond, and there is going to be traffic. Drivers will be close to one another regardless, and I would say there's always the possibility that we see a caution. Unlikely, but I'm not going to say no.
Our track temp, by the way, is we've seen less and less guys having the hospital wobble on corner exits, and the reason being track temp is down to 94 degrees when it started at, what was it, about 108 or something like that. So we're down quite an amount on the track temp as we are pushing now 6 o'clock sim time here. So the track is getting grippier. Guys are getting more confidence. They're able to put the throttle down more, so we're not seeing the self spins, the wiggles. Which again is leading to this cleaner racing.
Yeah, and of course, as we get closer to the end of the race, aggression does get up, and some guys are going to feel like they earned a better position, and that's going to play a factor. But at the same point, it's like you mentioned, the field's just so spread out. We're not seeing a whole lot of cars front and back and of each other, and it's leading to this racing.
Murray losing a spot to Hoytsma. I think Lucas just wants to be on the podium here. He wants to have an interview, and he'll put himself in that third spot. There's a little bit of wall tap there, a little bit of pancake by Murray. Murray had a effort in which he's led 159 laps of this race, almost half of it, and he's going to have to settle for fourth, maybe fifth here on the evening. So that's always a hard pill to swallow.
It really seemed like Alex Murray was thriving in the clean air. I think if that 22 was in the lead and there was nobody in front of him, he maybe had one of the best cars in the field. But it seems like once he gets in traffic, he gets in that dirty air, he doesn't quite have the long run pace. The car doesn't handle as good when he's behind other cars. So the fact that this has gone on to be a very long green flag run has not played into his favor. And also, scraping those walls, I mean, he did it again on the back straightaway. The handling is just fading away.
Fading away indeed. I feel like that was a song, but it's probably a lot of songs say fading away. But anyways, our caution count here, again, we expected a lot more. We are currently on 6, and even if we have a couple more, anything less than double digits is well beyond anything that I would have ever fathomed tonight. So again, I just want to congratulate these drivers on taking the advice, taking the criticism, using their brains, driving within their limits, and proving that Richmond can put on a good race. So my hats off to these guys because they surprised all of us.
Yeah, I did not see this one coming. Again, I've done a few Richmond races for 100%, going back to the Galaxy days, and it just never tends to be the cleanest race. It tends to be a longer race due to all the cautions and everything, but really flipping the script here goes to show that, if everybody keeps a cool head and everybody kind of drives within their limits, the track doesn't have to be a certain way. Sometimes you can still put on some pretty solid racing, and this comes down to what the drivers want to do, how patient they want to be, and what kind of setups they got. But everything playing out pretty surprisingly. The thing that I'm most surprised by, though, is that Derek Heitman is continuing to fall a little bit further back. 3 seconds the gap now. It was 2 seconds last time we mentioned it. That's another second back. I really thought he was going to have the long run pace to get up to Miller, but it's just not.
He's about to lose second too because
yeah, Hoytsma's coming up on him.
So we're gonna have an LMM 1-2 here on the evening, or so it looks. Giglio again, he had the speed, but just not the luck. As a little group of cars there with some slower cars mixed into the mix with that's Schofield in the 47 and of course Giglio here. Now Giglio, he's going to open the door as Heitman's forced to the outside here. Giglio on those fresher tires, he's going to drag his teammate on through there. So there you go, Andre, a little coordination there to benefit the team there, make an easier pass there for Lucas to get second.
Yeah, I don't think Lucas has it quite yet. I think Heitman's going to stick to the outside, force Lucas to take that shallow entry, and he is going to get it. Now the question is, can Lucas keep it pinned to the bottom? Yes, he can, but it's always a question. When you enter the corner that low, this late into the run, sometimes your car is going to slide up to the outside. You open yourself up to a crossover. Didn't happen for Lucas. Heitman just kind of conceded the position, so he's back to third now. Alex Murray in fourth. RJ Root hanging on to the top 5. Patrick Gitter all the way back in ninth, a little ways off his hopeful top 5 that he was trying to shoot for. But either way, 14 to go. Plenty of separation from the leader on back. But then second and third, we might have a battle pretty soon.
Yeah, this race has definitely flipped. Like we mentioned earlier, we saw Patrick Gitter, Alex Murray, Alex Vandesant at the very top of the field, and now we're seeing guys who were in the back of the field early on. Lucas started 26 and worked his way up to second.
Yeah, Miller up 11 spots from the 12th position. So again, this maybe the fact that this track has changed so much. I mean, not so much as a day to night race, but a super hot track to a more modestly temperatured track. It is going to cause a handling swing. So maybe you set yourself up to be freer than you'd want to be, because you know when the track cools down, it's going to tighten up. So maybe the first half of the race, these guys were a little bit too loose when the track was hot, but they knew it would dial right in as this track temp cooled down and gave them these fast cars when it counted.
Yeah, you never really know what to plan for when you build a setup, and I talk about it every week, but when a league uses generated weather, there's no way to know what it's going to be before you load in for race day. So these guys could build a setup expecting this race to be in the full sun, because we're in Richmond in the middle of the summer. You expect blue skies, and then we get to the race session. It turns out it's a lot cooler than you expected. We get a lot of shade, or vice versa. So some of these guys, they may have hit the ticket. They might got the good setup, but then some of these guys, they guessed wrong, and that's really all it comes down to. It's not that the setup they have is bad. It's not that they did anything wrong. It's just a bit of a guessing game. And the same thing goes for real life. You never really know what the track conditions going to be like in real life. You can go off the weather forecast and try to get a rough idea, but when it goes to building these setups, the boys in the shop have got a lot of guesswork to do, and it's never easy.
No, and I've even heard of some teams building 2 setups for a variation of weather. But tonight, there's a car into the inside wall.
Oh boy, and no caution yet. He's on the apron. That was, I believe, Schofield in the 47.
No, I think that was Jedi, actually. Let's see.
May have been Jason.
Yeah, Taylor's on the garage, yeah.
Yep, it was Jedi there, Jason Taylor, but he managed to keep it off the racing surface and kept it in a direction, an angle that did not cause Barney to wave the caution. Just got loose. Too many beans there, as Carlos likes to say, hard into the inside wall, and just took it right into the pits to evade having a race-changing caution here. So some guys, they're wishing that did come out, because that would have been their chance, but at the end of the day, guys, I think we would, while the excitement of green-white checker may be fun, you don't like to see, and I go to the Xfinity race today at Road America, which, hot take, I hate Road America and Xfinity. It's just a terrible race with cautions every 3 laps. But Justin Allgaier deserved to win the race, and because of the caution fest, he didn't win when he deserved to. You don't like to see the guy who should win the race flipped upside down because of late race semantics. So glad that stayed green.
Yeah, and he did bounce up to the yellow line, which means he was almost on the racing surface. That could have been a yellow, but I guess the iRacing gods deemed that to be green, and so we're still racing. 4 laps to go, 3 seconds of difference. Hoytsma actually closing in on Robert Miller ever so slightly, but it's not going to be enough. He'd have to make up just a little under a second a lap here to get to him, and that would be just to get to him, let alone making the pass. So pretty comfortable lead for Miller as long as nothing happens as far as a caution goes. If we get to the white flag, that'll make it official, so let's see if that can happen. Hoytsma second, Derek Heitman in third, and Alex Murray swooping both stages, currently running fourth. He's got a second over the car ahead of, or a car behind him. That is Clayton Hoffman. And Birthday Boy just fell out of the top 5. He was in 5th last time we mentioned him. Dropped back to 6th now. Bobby Anderson, P7. Andrew Dyson, 8th. Patrick Gitter, 9th. And Mark Paget there in 10th. Coming out of turn 4 to the white flag, the race is going to be official. No green-white checkers. Next flag will end the race. Robert Miller spins on pit road. He's a lap down at one point. Thinks that the race may be over, but it's looking like it might be a spin and win for the first time in a long time at 100%. Robert Miller, the number 15, is going to take home the checkered flag for the Apex Designs.edu 400.
It'll be 56 laps led, and he's going to start his celebration early here as he puts it in the pit wall and nearly collects his teammate here. So kind of akin to the Xfinity race here where Sam Mayer damaged his car. That 15 is going to go to victory lane with a damaged front end, and he is wasting no time on his celebratory activities here. Obviously rather excited to take that Cyclones Ford Mustang to victory circle here. So good bit of driving, and then Hoytsma and Heitman, the top 3 on the evening. I don't know if you can catch that, Carlos, but right after the start finish, he literally spun it into the end of the pit wall. That was kind of
I did not catch that.
He's going to burn it down to the ground, sliding through Kevin Steele's tire tracks down there. Getting a win for not only LMN, but that paint scheme was actually based on his high school mascot back when he was in high school.
Hey, is that a lot, Andre?
Oh, no. You can't do that. You cannot do that, Blake.
You cannot do that.
Oh, no.
Well, Blake's getting suspended.
Wait, Andre, what's your take on him doing this lawn damage right now? Is this okay?
I'm kind of in shambles right now because Blake's probably going to be suspended, and also he's just tearing up this lawn before I have a chance to cut it.
What's your take on him tearing up his front end?
Just not. I'm not feeling good right now, boys.
The race winnings will now go to fixing a damaged car, but
and also paying a fine for Blake. But...
Exactly that.
And potentially a fine for Robert, because technically that was unsafe at the end of the race. But
yeah, maybe we'll have to go. Carlos will have to go and dig up the replay of that last lap just so we can get guys in trouble here. But we do have the points. We have stuff on the screen, so let's read it. Robert Miller gets the win here today with Lucas Hoytsma second. Derek Heitman finishes in third. Alex Murray fourth. Clayton Hoffman fifth. RJ Root, he broke out of the bubble there and got himself nearly a top 5, settles for 6th. Bobby Anderson 7th. Andrew Dyson, who thought he had a faster car, led some laps earlier, has to fall back to 8th. Gitter had some stuff go wrong, never quite recovered 9th, and a solid top 10 for Mark Paget.
11th will be Brandon Pierce. 12th will be Neil Pearson. Tanner Marty with a very solid 13th place run. Jamie Knopf, 14th, which again, great run for him. 15th, Dustin Hall. 16th, Matt DiCiani. And did not get back to the top 10. I now owe Corey $5. John O'Brien, 17th. Wayne Grassy, 18th. Blake Giglio, 19th. And Kevin Steele rounds out the top 20.
Outside of the top 20, it is going to be Randy Drumhammer. Randy Drumhiller is going to finish 21st. Then you have Jim Schofield, Rob Tracy, Jason, nobody calls him Jedi Taylor, Alexander Van de Sant, Ralph Hutchison. Thanks, Cody, giving him the commentator's curse. Mike Christopher finishes in 27th. Trevor Ryan, 28th. Adam Medefield is going to be P29, and Richard Reagan, that 97 with his internet issues, is going to round out the field 352 laps down. We're going to go ahead and try to round up our podium finishers for some interviews, if we can find them. Give me one moment here.
Digging through the frequency channels here, and
Okay, I'm going to throw Derek Heitman to Cody Bird, the third place finisher. Let's hear from him.
Derek Heitman, this is Cody up at the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
All right, this is becoming a weekly occurrence with me and you talking. Walk us through your race and how you felt throughout it.
It was a lot of work. I don't think I've ever sweat so much during one of these races. And it's not just the heat wave. I was working my tail off. Started in the back, P17. Had trouble queuing all week, and found a way to just pick my way through the field nice and slow, and get up there where I needed to be for a chance to win.
Absolutely, and obviously, like you mentioned, worked your tail off, and it was right after the stage 2 caution we saw the top 2 get it to it side, or the 2 guys who've been up towards the top all race get into one another. Did you feel like that was kind of a break you needed?
No, honestly, I wanted them to stay up there with me, just because, obviously Alex is a teammate. I hate that happened, and Patrick is an old teammate. I hate that happened to him as well. I don't wish that upon anybody. I knew that I was better than them long run, and before the end of that pit cycle in stage 3, I seen Robert Miller come flying up on me. He was gaining on me, so I feel like I needed Alex and Patrick up here as well, to kind of maybe hold him up a little bit. But at the end of the day, that I guess you can say the best car won.
Now we're 4 races away from the playoffs, and coming up we have 4 very unique tracks. How do you feel about your chances to make a run for the playoffs?
Well, I hope that if I just keep getting good, consistent finishes, I can make it in on points. Unfortunately, I missed last week, but hey, Andre knows that, right? I seen it in the chat, but so I unfortunately missed last week, but I'm sorry, I don't know. Is Watkins Glen before the playoffs, or is it in the playoffs?
It's before.
It's before. Well, hey, I won there last year, so we'll see if I can double it up. I don't think, unfortunately, I don't think the odds are with me, because it's never been done before, but we'll try to make it happen.
Absolutely. Well, congrats on your 3rd place finish, and we'll look forward to hopefully speaking with you again next week.
Thanks, Cody. Hey, shout out for the great broadcast you guys do every week. Shout out Ryko for making a good setup, and shout out Prodigy eSports as well. Thank you, guys.
And that was our 3rd place finisher, Derek Heitman. I'm going to pass second off to Corey.
All right, Lucas. I would like to take personal credit in you gaining a lot of spots here. I called you slow earlier in the race. You clearly heard it, and you managed to drive yourself up to second here. I take full credit, but I must have been a little bit of work behind the driver's seat to make that happen.
A bit of a reverse broadcaster's curse right there. I appreciate it, man. That's awesome. But to come from 26th, I mean, I think the 2 practice laps I had before this race were my qualifying laps. So to say I was starting out not knowing what I was doing is an understatement. So the fact I get second behind Robert, especially Robert, I mean, he absolutely deserved this win. He's fastest out there. And I mean, so many wins he's lost in the past few weeks. And to take it home finally, and then I get to be second behind him, 1-2 finish for the team. It's great. And if only we had Blake up there with us, but it's still a great night. And take this Casey's Ford 07 second place, and to get it done, it just feels good. I just absolutely despise this track, so it's a pretty good night for me.
Well, we're just going to be straight with you, man. We don't like this track either, and we took this broadcast tonight not expecting a fun night, but we talked to Derek Heitman. He said he's never had to work so hard here, and you only had about, 6 or 7 cautions on the night, some super long runs. Did you go into this race expecting what we saw, or were you kind of expecting more of the calamity that we had back in the spring?
Absolutely. I fully expected to have 20 cautions and to sit there hating my life, but lo and behold, that was a actually great race. I enjoyed myself in that last half of this, and I maybe it changed my opinion a little bit on Richmond. So definitely, I think definitely not what I expected for sure.
Yeah, so it definitely was a good race for the LMM. Well, to round out the regular season, of course, you're already in a good spot, but to get some more playoff points and better seeding, we got Michigan, Daytona, and a few road courses in the rest of this regular season. How you feeling about getting yourself a little bit better seeding with the tracks upcoming?
Oh, looking forward to these next 4 races. Love the road courses, Indy Road, Watkins Glen, great tracks, and gotta love Michigan and Daytona. I'm gonna enjoy these next 4 weeks, and the sponsors in the car are gonna enjoy these next 4 weeks because I'm gonna be up there in Victory Lane one of these times.
Wow.
Labor 12, CTCRN, Low Drag Esports, and everybody on the team that helps me out. Robert for building this rocket ship again. Obviously, he's in Victory Lane, so you're gonna hear from him in a moment. He's gonna be ecstatic.
I gotta let your boss talk to him, but I'll tell you, your boss is a little nervous about that little tap he did on the grass there. So hopefully you're allowed to race next week. So I'll let the boss yell at you.
That was Blake, but yeah.
Oh, that too.
All right. Well, congrats on second, Lucas, and we're gonna hear from Robert.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. See you next week.
All right. Let's bring the winner in. Mr. Miller, you got a copy?
I got you, Dirt.
Oh, Robert, you finally got one. You felt like you'd been on a bit of a bad luck streak recently, and, well, you broke it. You led quite a few laps, won by quite a big margin, and hey, your setup finished 1-2 tonight, so tell me about it.
Honestly, we were not the best car, at least to start the race. We were awful. We were overheating tires. Like, it took not even 15 laps, and we were sliding everywhere. I think everybody was having that kind of problem. I think we were more exaggerated. I think half of that was also the driver. The driver didn't know how to drive this place very well. And then we just kept messing with it and messing with the setup and just kept trying with it. I mean, I had time. I was going from the back to the front like 3 or 4 times that race. I was like, why not? Let's try something, see what happens. And then the track started cooling down. We started overheating tires less, and then we just started coming in more and more. And ended up, we were the fastest car in the race. And I'm like, I don't know how this happened, but I'll take it. I mean, I'll sweep Richmond. That's my worst track ever, I think, for short tracks. I don't like this place.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of drivers that probably aren't too fond of it, but we talked to Lucas about this a little bit as well. This race did not go how any of us in the booth thought it would go. We were kind of expecting something more akin to the spring race, 20 cautions, lots of chaos. No, we only had a handful of cautions for cause. Everything was pretty clean and a really long green flag run to finish it out. Were you surprised by that?
Yes or no? Yes, by I know some of the people in the track, but no, because of how low grip it was. You were on ice, and you just had to really baby the car around. And because you couldn't just throw it in there like we were in April, because we had a different tire model, different aero model too. We have less downforce and less tire basically than we did in April. So everybody had to be in ice, and yeah, it's just made for better racing. You can see people come and go, and it was a good time. Once we get like 50 laps in the run, it was a good time. It was good fun.
Yeah, it definitely looks like you're having a good time out there. Now, tell me a little bit about the spin that made this a spin and win. What happened getting into pit road?
Oh, I just hit the transition too hard and upset the car, and then I shifted at the same time, and so the car said, "No, you're done." So I tried real hard not to throw a caution. I honestly did, because it screwed my teammate Blake, and he got put a lap down, and I really didn't want that to happen because he was doing pretty good. He was sticking with Alex the whole time. And we had a decent strategy there, maybe to end up winning the stage, but yeah, like, it just happened.
And then you damaged the car on the cooldown lap too.
Oh, I was having fun. I was like, man, I did it! And my right leg cramped up, and I said, yeet, and around, and off we go. So.
That dang old engine just blew right when you crossed the line. I don't know what happened, man. But anyways, we are getting a little bit closer to the playoffs, and we got some interesting tracks coming up. Among them, Michigan, Watkins Glen. Anything on the schedule coming up that's caught your eye for better or for worse?
I'm feeling pretty good for the next 3. I like all 3 tracks. Indy Road, I'm still somewhat new. I haven't driven a new layout with a new chicane very much. I mean, turn maybe 10 laps in a total period ever. So it's going to be a learning experience. But Michigan, I'm happy. I love Michigan, and I obviously love Watkins Glen, so I'm excited to try my hand at them.
All right. Well, again, congratulations on the win. Hopefully Blake does not get a suspension for the little bump he gave you after the race. We were mentioning that a little bit. That's kind of a no-no. But hey, Blake's never around to race anyway, so we probably wouldn't notice if he did get suspended. Anyway.
It's all good fun.
Yeah. All right, Robert, congrats on the win. We'll be seeing you next week.
Appreciate it, guys. I just want to say the Penske is for a friend of mine who passed away a couple weeks ago, and he was a big supporter of the high school that both of us went to. I went to high school with him, and so it's just I made it for him. So shout out to them.
All right, awesome that you're able to get a win in that tribute scheme. Love to see it, and thank you for your time.
Later, y'all.
Race winner out of the booth, and yeah, just unexpected race, I think, from just about every angle. We kind of already hammered that point home, but either way, yeah, going into next week's race, what are you guys kind of expecting to see, Cody?
Well, it's Michigan, so I expect to see some good hard racing. I won't be here next week, but I'm sure Corey, Andre, and I believe Jeffrey will take you guys from Michigan and see some great racing.
We'll have pack racing, I think. I haven't really called a race at Michigan in a little bit of time, but I would assume that's what we'll see. So it'll be some good stuff. And thanks everyone for tuning in. Like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and we'll catch you next time.
Absolutely. This is Andre Graham Bush, Cody Bird, and Corey Silva, along with producer Carlos Acosta, signing off, and we will see you next time.